You are listening to the brand new episode of In Love with the Process. I am your host, Mike Pecci. How are you? Come on in, grab a seat, grab a beer. You drinking beer these days? You're not drinking beer? That's fine. I think we got some sodas in there, maybe some wine, maybe some, you want, it's the holiday season. You guys want like a holiday drink? Just relax. My point is come on in and relax. I know there's a lot of you here. I know there's plenty of room. I know it's going to get crowded today. Come on and grab a seat. I think this is going to be our top episode of 2022. I can tell you that right now. This by far is the largest profile director that we've had on the show. And I am fucking amped about it. I've already recorded this interview and it is massive. I am so fucking excited about my conversation with director Joe Carnahan. Now, if you guys don't know who Joe Carnahan is, like where the fuck have you been, right? Joe has been responsible for some of the coolest action movies that have come out since, I was in fucking film school. All right. So let's start back at the beginning. The first one I ever saw was NARC, which technically isn't his first film. He actually has a film before that, but that was the first one that I saw. And I think that was the first one that most of the planet saw. And it was an epic film that really blew the doors off of the independent world at that time. Both him and I talk about the epic sort of handheld shot that sort of defined indie crime dramas after that. It stars Ray Liotta, who fucking crushes it. He's awesome in it. Jason Patric's in it. If you haven't seen it, go check out NARC. A lot of young listeners are always asking, what kind of movie should I be watching? Go back and watch NARC. It's amazing. And since then, he's done movies like Smoking Aces. We all know Smoking Aces. It's the infamous movie that a character makes a dead Ben Affleck talk by moving his lips with his hands. It's one of my favorite sequences ever. He did the Hollywood remake of The A-Team. Epic movie. Epic cast. Bradley Cooper, Liam Neeson. Oh my God. That movie is so much fucking fun. And then he did The Gray. He switched it out and did like a very intense action drama, starring Liam Neeson that has some of the most haunting sequences in it. And it really, you think you go into it, based upon the trailer, you think you're getting into just like, an airplane crash action movie. But at the end of the day, it says a lot about death, dealing with death, and dealing with loss. It's a phenomenal movie. We talk a little bit about that. And then maybe you saw Stretch. A lot of people didn't see Stretch. Great fucking film. He also did The Blacklist on TV. Remember the Blacklist TV series? It was huge. Recently, a lot of you young folks will know him for Boss Level, which was that epic movie that was released on Hulu, starring Frank Grillo and Mel Gibson, Naomi Watts. Oh, he's got these killer fucking cast members, Joe. That movie was so much fun. Talk about a guy who, it's Groundhog Day for video gamers. That's how I would put it. Amazing movie. And then more recently, I saw his latest Cop Shop, which I really enjoyed as well. So yes, Joe Carnahan is on the show today. We're going to get deep into his work, the life of a Hollywood screenwriter, director, the trials and tribulations. Joe he's a great storyteller, and he tells me some epic fucking stories about the business and how it's worked for him. And I had been talking to Joe a little bit a while ago. I've been trying to get him on the show, but really we bonded and connected because he saw 12 Cam, which is fucking insane. He saw 12 Cam and really loved it, and reached out to me and started to talk to me about it. So you'll hear him ask me a lot of questions about 12 Cam in this, because this is the first time, you guys are hearing the first time that Joe and I have spoke to each other without just sending random texts or random messages. So he takes the time to ask me a lot of questions. And I try not to have this show be about me. Try not to have the show be about 12 Cam, but he genuinely had some questions, so we get into it. So yeah, it's an epic one, and I'm excited to have it for you guys. I'm excited that you're all here to experience it with me, and I'm telling you, it's gonna feel it's gonna feel like you're hanging out on the couch with two rugged dudes. And I love it, man. I absolutely love it. But before we get into it all, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank each and every person that has sent me a DM to watch 12KM on my Instagram at Mike Pecci. For those of you who haven't been following me, those of you just showing up, my short film went viral online, and I have had hundreds and thousands of folks DMing me their 3 favorite horror movies, because that was the rules. If you wanted to see 12KM, you send me your 3 favorite horror movies, and if I like them, if I agree with you, then I'll send you a link to see my film. I have been, for 2 weeks, responding to DMs, and I've been doing it as fast as humanly possible. I just calculated it today. I have sent out over 20,000 personal DMs. My eyesight's fucked. Like, I've been looking at my phone for so long that my eyes are going. And I have barely scratched the surface of it. So I want to make sure those of you listening to the show, if you've sent me a DM and I haven't responded yet, it's not intentional. It's not because I don't like your list. It's not because I don't like you. It's just literally down to luck at this point. I spent yesterday trying to dig deeper, right? Because this has been going on for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Let me just try to give you perspective here. Every 10 minutes, I get 20 DMs for 2 weeks. And I'm just trying to keep up. And I know a lot of you are like, well, asshole, why don't you just fucking release the movie for free? No, this movie was never going to be released to the public. And I've tried to explain that to folks. This film is a short film. It is a proof of concept movie that I created to go along with a feature film script. Now, if you're a director or a quote-unquote first-time director, you need to do a proof of concept. This helps you on a bunch of different ways, right? First things first, if you send someone a script, that person's going to read a script through their mind's eye. So they're going to make sure that they bring in all of their personal experiences, their personal preferences, whether or not they like these kind of human beings will affect whether or not they like the characters in that film. And then they're going to instantly, while they're reading, sort of hunt for other movies that they've seen and apply that tone to it. Like, reading this feels like Predator. Suddenly it's got a McTiernan look in their mind, right? Or I was reading this and this seemed like Smoking Aces. Suddenly it's got a Carnahan look in their mind as they're doing this. If you're a director, you want to establish your own personal tone. That's what a proof of concept does, more than anything else. So I've had a bunch of folks ask me questions about, why is it a short film? It's a short film because it's just setting up the world, setting up my tone, and making sure that by the end of the movie, whoever's watching it wants to see more. It's calculated to be that. So that way, when I show it to investors or studio execs, they want to make the feature version, right? So any person that writes back and says to me, this movie gets like a 7.8 out of 10 because the one thing that was wrong with it is that I needed more. It's intentional. I did that intentionally. So it's working. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. But here's what I'm going to do. If you're listening to the show today, right? All of you podcast listeners get your own personal password. The link to watch 12KM for you, the podcast listener, can be found at inlovewiththeprocess.com on its homepage. On the homepage, scroll down, you'll see enter password for 12KM. Put in the password. It's all in capital letters. ILWP. ILWP at inlovewiththeprocess.com. So you can watch the film. And you might want to do so before you listen to the rest of this episode because, we're not going to give away any spoilers here, but we will be talking about specifics. And you might feel like you're more in the club if you've seen it, And those of you who already have seen it, those of you who ordered t-shirts, you guys are the best. I mean it. I absolutely mean it. And I say this from the bottom of my heart. I go through this entire process to meet each and every one of you. I physically want to hand each person a ticket to see this film, to know who's watching my movies, to understand what their taste in movies are, but more importantly, to make a personal connection with you. Because 12KM is only one film in a bunch of films that I have coming out. So there's many of you that are like, is there more work? Is there more stuff? There is. I promise you, there is. And I want you guys all to be a part of this podcast, this experience. I want the fans of my work to feel like we're growing together. We're learning together. I'm trying to give you guys as much as I'm getting. You know what I mean? So thank you for being here. Thank you for the support. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So let me not drag it out any further because it's going to be a long episode and it's fucking great. So you know the deal. Grab that beer, find a nice comfy seat. You got those noise canceling headphones on, right? Crank them up to 11. I'll hit you guys up with some fucking sweet track right now. Get you in the mode. Sit back, relax, and enjoy an epic year-ending episode of The Love of the Process. Joe, hey man, what's happening? Welcome to the show.
You tell me, man. I'm very happy to be here, dude. Very happy to be chatting.
Yeah, dude. This has been something we've been trying to hook up for a while, and I'm fucking pumped that you're here, man.
Oh, I'm glad, brother. If I can provide any entertainment to you, dude, it might be a commentary on how sad your life is, but whatever.
Well, come on. All right, look, this is the part of the show where I blow some smoke up your ass. Like,
I'm here for it, dude. I'm here for it.
Talking about entertainment, man. Like, from the first time I saw NARC, like NARC was this fucking adrenaline shot into the independent world. And it just, from that fucking chase scene that happens at the beginning of that movie, I remember just gripping my seat going, this motherfucker knows what he's doing, and it's awesome. And
that's great. That was, I mean, I've told the story before, but it bears repeating that was pure invention at that point, because I had a Steadicam operator that did one rehearsal and quit. He quit.
Jesus.
So it just became, I think I was 31 when I made that movie. It's like, it just became, this is the end of your career unless you could figure this out. I think that was day 2, or maybe the first day, dude. Maybe the first day, the first shot I did on NARC, if memory serves, which it doesn't. But I had that distinct feeling that was it, that we began because we could kind of chronologically.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
You got to figure this out now, pal, because there's no redo. You can't kind of throw your hands up and say, well, wait a minute, I had a plan and the plan's gone. You had to improvise and audible, and we got very lucky that we pulled it off.
Well, dude, I mean, through that process of improvising, you found such a kinetic fucking energy that,
right?
I think, I mean, I've been there too, not at your level, obviously, but I've been there too, where you're on set and you're just like, look, I fucking planned everything, and here comes Mother Nature. Here comes the every possible reason to tell me that I'm not supposed to be doing this and to shut this fucking thing down. And you eventually just have to pick up the camera and go, no, fuck you. I'm going to do this right now. You
gotta go. You gotta go. It's so funny, Joe. Just watch. I've been on this because I've been kind of like quarantining because my youngest daughter, Olivia, got COVID.
Oh, is she okay?
Great. No. The kid's so tough.
Okay.
But I've been kind of laid out, so I've done something which I haven't done in a long time, which is I've watched like 4 or 5 movies every day.
Nice.
And I was watching Chris Smith. I was watching an American movie, Mark Borchardt, and I always say to people, it's like, you want to see what being a filmmaker is like, watch that movie, because that guy is fucking indomitable. Like, he just will not give up ghost. It's like, that's how you have to be, brother. You know this. It's like, and to do it at a very high level. And brother, like when I look at your work, you're doing it at a very high level, right? It's
Thanks,
like,
man.
That takes an additional amount of grit and perseverance and resiliency. It's like that in and of itself. It's just, listen, to go out and make a shitty movie is a lot of work, right? To go out and make something good is even more. To go make something great it's like, then you're just, listen, it's like now you're playing poker with the universe. Like, you just don't, you know what I mean? You don't know, can you bluff? Do I show? Do I call? It's like, it's this whole kind of, it's a lot of kind of intersecting fate that kind of that intervenes and can really derail you at any given moment, dude. And not just the sun's going down. It's, shit, man, the follow focus isn't working. Yeah. This isn't happening. We didn't plan for this. We don't have squibs. We don't have this. It's like, you just got to simply soldier through, and it doesn't matter if it's a $50 million movie or a $50,000, we're going to go make this in our backyard. The exigencies of that remain the same. Yeah, no, totally. And there's something stress-free. When I did 12 Cam, there was something very stress-free about the fact that I was just financing the whole fucking thing. So you just sort of hit a point where you go, I'm the boss. Let's do this in fucking Russian. Let's shoot a movie in a language I don't speak. That's so cool. It's such a ballsy endeavor. It's so beautifully shot and rendered, and kind of like the fact you paid for that. I don't even want to ask you what the fuck that thing cost, but the fact that you did that, and again, it has that. Like I told you, it's like, there was this inflection point between like Carpenter and Kubrick. Thanks, man. It. Thanks, man. Thank you. And I think but again, to go and do that, dude, and then to have the temerity and the kind of the courage to put bad reviews of your own movie. Brother, it's another level of gamesmanship. It's like, you know what that tells me, dude? It's like, that is a tremendously confident fucking guy. And these things, brother, they become like, it's like a pea shooter off the hull of a battleship at some point. If you're not inured to this shit, if you don't have a thick enough skin to take that. And I think that's the problem with a lot of people. It's like, listen, man, I've always hated IMDb. I think it's about 30,000 assholes that comment on these movies, right? Yeah. And I've never gotten along with them, and they've never got, like, it's like they've got their little favorites. They've got their little coterie of, these people can do nothing wrong. Yeah. And I've always felt on the outside of that, but I like that, dude. I like I like that status. I don't want to be part of their little fucking reindeer games. I just don't. Yeah. Yeah. Dude, that's what look, from the outside, Joe, and knowing as much as I know about you from being someone that doesn't know you, I've respected that about you, because I've heard rumors about how you've handled things, and I've heard, that you've always had a strong vision and a strong sense of confidence, and that you're not afraid to walk away from something that isn't fucking right and that isn't doing something. And Mike, I think that, listen, I did it with, and I'm dying to know what you've heard, because I've heard various, little drips and drabs over the years of this. Like, he's a hothead. He doesn't know how to. I mean, brother, this was in the last year. I had a management company say to my agent, we don't want to rep him because he has too many big projects fall apart, which I thought, wow. Fuck those guys. By the way, brother, Mike, rather than be that guy and be like, I kind of stood back and looked at it just from their perspective. I went, okay, I kind of get that. I get that. Like, I've been particular about stuff to the point of distraction, because I just don't want to, here's the thing, and some of these filmmakers will remain nameless, but you can kind of, you can read the tea leaves and see what I'm talking about. There are certain directors that direct like big franchise type movies, kind of studio guys, kind of children's stuff, whatever. And not children's stuff, but they kind of family fare, and they go all over the road, and but they know how to surf those breaks, dude. And they know how to put those executives at ease. Yeah. But here's the thing about guys like that, man. I don't want your fucking movies. I love my movies. I want your money. That's what I want. I want your money, because I don't want your movies. My movies are cool, right? Yeah. But that's the cost, dude. And that cost is, I wish I had the acumen and the insight to kind of figure those things out and not be a hard on, where I've been a hard on in the past. And again, dude, like, I just tell people, it's like, listen, you want to see a little snapshot of the times in my life where I regretted something, not necessarily regretted it because I think it was kind of a double-edged sword. It's like, I just say, just enter Joe Carnahan an email, look at the email I wrote to the head of MGM at the time.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to move forward with my version of Death Wish. It's funny now. And it's anecdotal because people laugh at it. But I look back at that and go, and I only now, dude, in my 50s, do I say to myself, not everybody needs to know what the fuck is on your mind at all times. That's not honesty.
Yeah.
That's stupidity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's tactically flawed, that thinking, And so I've had to teach myself to shut the fuck up. And it's hard.
Yeah, no, dude, I know, man. I totally know. And this is something that because I've been directing I did music videos for years for a lot of big acts and shit. And it's ego, man. And this business is such a bipolar, fucking abusive fucking business where you have to go through the process. I was just talking about it on the last podcast. You have to go through the process of being confident, right? And it's almost when you're selling to money people, and especially when you're selling to like a lot of executives, because a lot of executives are still kind of bros. So like you have to be confident and almost at the point of arrogance. It's like you're at that point where it's like, no, I can fucking do that. And like I can do all these really great things. And then you have to be able to check that ego instantly as soon as it goes when you're working with your team and you're working with your crew. And then you have to be able to check that ego when you're dealing with fucking the audience. It's you have to have like two different personalities almost to be able to do this shit right.
You do, dude. And I think, listen, let's be honest. Most executives, their job is to not lose that job.
Yeah.
Their job is not to advocate for some kind of brash, never before seen, bold innovation in a screenplay or in a movie or in what have you. Though, they want listen, it's like I'd heard recently, like the streamers used to be like, hey, give us what the studios aren't doing. Mm-hmm. Now the streamers are like, give us exactly what the studios are doing. We want franchisable shit, right? We want to make a bunch of this kind of movie. And so you're seeing movies getting, I think more and more, brother, you're going to see these movies get squeezed out. I mean, like The Fablemans, that's Steven Spielberg, man. By the way, they should have marketed that movie, to my mind, like this is about Steven Spielberg, right? This is about his life. And what's that movie going to get to? Maybe, I don't know, maybe 15 million, globally. Yeah. That's absurd, dude. 30 years ago, that thing would have done business, right? But we've so squeezed out. And I think James Gray said this recently. I thought it was brilliant what he was talking about you got to make room for these small movies, man. You got to, you still have to provide for the venues to see these smaller movies. And this is something I think the big studios should subsidize. Operate them at a loss. Mm-hmm. Set up little art house reviews that are really lovely and, in the shadow of whatever the Cinerama, the big thing that you're going to be showing your, all your big comic book themed, dinosaur themed, what have you themed movies, but allow for these other, which I think is very true. But I don't think the economics, dude, are ever gonna bear that out. And when you get a situation where Warner Brothers can simply say, yeah, we're not going to do the Batgirl thing, doesn't fit, or Henry Cavill's not right for Superman anymore, dude, you're dealing with bottom line. This is shareholder shit. This is where these companies operate, and they're never going to be, for all of our kind of gauzy, gilded viewpoints about what they should do. Yeah, all the idealistic ways that we think they should operate, it ain't ever going to happen. And I'm not going to sit here and fucking fight City Hall to that end, because it's a losing battle. It's a consistently losing battle. And so you got to adapt, dude. You got to adapt. And I don't want to be a guy that's like, oh, I can't make movies anymore because I decided that it was going to be this way or no way. Fuck that, dude. Yeah. No way. Yeah. It's like, I'm, by the grace of God, I'm still here and can still work. And so I'm very pleased by that.
Well, yeah, it's a good point, man. It's a good point. It's always been this fascinating battle. It's always been this frustrating battle between, art and commerce. And then commerce is really won right now because everything is owned by just giant companies and boardrooms. And so it's interesting because when you talk to fans, and I've been talking to fucking hundreds and thousands of fans right now. And you when I go into pitch stuff with my guys, I'll walk into a space and they're like, what are the comps for this? And I'm like, well, this is like The Thing, and this is like Alien, and this is like this. And they're like, well, no one wants to watch the fucking Thing. And I'm like, where are you getting your stats, bro? Like, what?
They don't? Right. I mean, what?
I have hundreds and thousands of comments from people going, what is my favorite films? Consistently, The Thing, The Shining, and then whatever is marketed to them right now. That's the consistency of all of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that where these movies kind of, can break through and even something like Barbarian, which I thought was 3/4 of a great movie until the end, where I just went, oh, what the fuck,
Yeah.
But I still enjoyed it, right? That marketing was, and you realize, dude, that's 90% of the way these movies function is marketing. Yes. How Smile, like how did it get out there and how did it break through the kind of the morass of big studio, and horror is always that genre. I mean, dude, I've had this script. My buddy Mike McGrail wrote this great script called Graves, and it's basically, if you took Serpico and Poltergeist, dude, right? It's that. Cool. I think it's fucking dynamite.
Cool.
When I tell you, Mike, I can't get anyone to snip this thing. It's like, well, it's a police horror film. I'm like, it's not a police horror film, guys. It happens to have a cop in it. Yeah. But it's a story about a guy like hunting for the killer of his murdered daughter. It's like it's got supernatural elements to it. But it's like, and it's a nothing movie to shoot. You can make it for fucking $5 million, and it's like, because it doesn't, again, dude, it doesn't. And this is why, like, again, I'll give Lionsgate a tremendous amount of credit for taking a swing on Shadow Force, which is not based on a pre-existing IP, which, excuse me, not, oh God, I'm dying of this cough. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
Not based on a comic book, not based on, it takes balls and foresight to do that. But it's rare, brother, because they want everybody wants a bag of Doritos and a Coca-Cola. It's like that's because everybody, no matter where the fuck you are, for the far reaches of the world, you hand somebody a bag of Doritos and a Coke, they know exactly what the fuck to do with it. You know what I mean? It's like, and it provides that immediate familiarity and that immediate comfort, and that's really important right now. And like I said, when you see the shakeups that are taking place, and again, like I hope that we haven't lost James Gunn, because I love him as a filmmaker, to the executive ranks. I don't think we have.
No.
But I think it's a really daring move, and I hope it pays great dividends, because I understand, dude, from a corporate standpoint, we got to compete with Marvel. Marvel has done it. Kevin Feige and Marvel have done it as brilliantly as anybody's ever done it. That's I equate that to kind of like the way Pixar does their thing, right? They've whether you like them or not, they rarely make a boring film. They rarely, and I thought Endgame was dynamite. I just did.
Yeah.
And I was with Joe and Anthony, but I thought that they did a hell of a job, and I think that Marvel machine services a tremendous amount of population. Now, is the risk that we're going to lose it to all those movies? Are we? Sure. Have we ceded enough ground now that there's no going back? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I see why DC would be, hey, listen, we gotta move and groove here, man. We need those numbers.
Yeah, I was kind of relieved. I mean, sure, it's based on another fucking franchise, but I was kind of relieved that Top Gun did so fucking well, because maybe that helps. Maybe that helps. We go back to action with stars in the lead, maybe.
Yeah, dude, listen, I think because of the photography and because of the way it was shot, because of the way it was, just reading about Nolan, that they've somehow created, the nuclear test, the same explosive. That's fascinating to me.
Yes.
But again, do people want to see a movie about Robert Oppenheimer? I don't know. Are they going to flood to the cinemas to see that movie, which looks very thoughtful, and I don't know how you make, and maybe it is, dude. Maybe you made an action movie out of the creation of the first atomic bomb. I don't know. But I think when those things can still exist, right? When you still got people out there, when you still got Jim Cameron, whether you like Avatar or not, man, that's his IP.
Dude, I'm pumped.
He invented it.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be the most popular movie in history in about 2 months. So, it's like, I hopefully there is room for those guys, and there is room for the continued kind of expansion of those. And like, listen, as big a Star Wars fan as I am, I think the thing that entire thing misses more than anything is the old man. You don't have George. You don't have George. I think Dave Filoni is phenomenal.
Yep.
And he's kind of been anointed, which I think is absolutely appreciable. And he, if anybody, it should be that guy.
Yep.
But I think you also, I think that's why the shows, Mandalorian and these other shows, have kind of fared a bit better, because I think they've been more under the influence of George, and vis-a-vis Dave Filoni, who I think has a tremendous amount of respect for, the master, the creator.
Well, I would springboard off that a bit, dude. I think it's also Filoni's got a voice. Like he's got a fucking voice, and he's got a voice that seems to be cutting through the corporate shit, which is great. And I mean, the same thing with James Gunn. James Gunn had a fucking voice, and Jon Favreau had a fucking voice. And it's so funny that these big giant corporate structures, you almost feel like they take a chance and they accidentally stumble on this thing, and then they go, "Oh fuck, that's the tempo." Okay, so now everybody do James Gunn shit. Everybody bring in fucking music tracks, and so it's like when you have the outliers in the music world, right? So you have like Metallica release fucking Ride the Lightning. Then after that, you have the labels going like, we got to find all these fucking Ride the Lightning. So then there's like tons and tons of people like attempting to do that trash, but it's not.
Yeah, they're heat seekers. They chase what they think is the thing, not realizing that you could create the thing if you just stick to your guns. And like you said, that those individual voices ultimately are gonna punch through. And it's like you can't. No one ever cooked by committee and made a dish that was worth a shit. They just didn't.
It's very true.
You know what I mean?
It's very true.
You're left with, you kind of, keep your fingers crossed that again, those voices will always be emergent in those, and that you'll, I want to see, I'm a big Damien Chazelle fan. I'm looking really forward to Babylon. I'm looking forward to I asked doing a movie. Like there's younger filmmakers that to me are very exciting. And I think but again, you're one trip up removed from, it's like, I'll never forget. I saw, I'm friends with David O. Russell. I love David. He's just a good dude and crazy, but lovely. Mm-hmm. And I remember, and I'm sure it's the case now with Amsterdam, but I remember after he did Joy, I saw him at this party, and I said, "Well, dude, so what are you doing, man?" He goes, "Bro, I'm paddling back out. You know what I mean? It's like that was, you know what I mean? It's like he got dumped, and he gets back on the board, and he fucking paddles back out to try to catch another one. It's like that's this is a guy that's had tremendous success, but he still views it again in the most kind of binary way. It's like, okay, well, then I still got to go out and do my thing.
At the end of the day, dude, after we finish any project, we're fucking fired, right? At the end, like we're unemployed,
out of a job. Yeah, man. It's like, and I think my whole thing has always been like, listen, I have tremendous respect for my peers, man. I'm a fan of everybody. I really am, mm-hmm. And so, I always, my philosophy is always like, listen, but by the same token that I have great admiration for every other filmmaker. It's like, I still will run anybody's race anywhere, anytime. You know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. Put me in the blocks, I'll run anybody's race. And my feeling is like, listen, no matter what, this is the way I look at things. No matter what, you're going to have to fuck with me. You're going to have to fuck with me. Yeah. I'm going to be there. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'm going to be there. It's like, it's like I'm like the Paul Gleason character in Breakfast Club. It's like when you forgot about the fucking, I'm going to be there. I'm going to kick the living shit out of you. I'm going to be there. I'm going to fight. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not to say I'm better than anybody, not to say I'm this, that, the other thing, I'm never going to down even directors and filmmakers I'm not fond of. You'll never hear me say an unkind word about those guys.
Sure.
Because I believe in that whatever kind of telemetry that creates. It's like, it's bad mojo to start ripping on other people. I don't like this. I don't like that. Because I always find a quality admirable. You know what I mean? Yeah. Regardless. And I think that's the key, dude, is you have to hold yourself within a degree of humility, but also understand that comment's like, by the same token, oh no, man, hand me a couple of battle axes and I'll go in. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good.
Yeah. I completely, and there's, like I said, we were saying earlier, like if it's a miracle for a fucking shitty movie to be made, and then it doesn't matter what movie I'm watching, I'm usually pulling something from it, so it could be like what I assume to be, the most boring thing possible. But there's always a scene, there's always a moment, there's always a little bit where I'm like, that's fucking cool. Like, that's cool right there. Always, man.
Totally. Like, dude, I watched Denis Villeneuve. I watched Maelstrom, which is like from 2000.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy dying fish narrating this goddamn weird movie. And you're like, you look at it going, okay, I so see, I so see like City Lost Children, and I see Greenaway. I see Greenaway in that movie, and those kind of flashbacks. I see his influences, right?
Yep.
And yeah, it's fucking super cool. I'm like, the guy's using a goddamn like a whatever the fuck, like a giant catfish talking this puppet chopped in half. It's bizarre, but it's like, but dude, there was stuff in there that I just loved. I thought, oh, that's so cool, man.
Yeah.
To do, some of his composition, like, and again, nothing like what he did in like Polytechnique, which is fucking brutal.
Uh-huh.
Nothing like he did in Arrival or what he did in Sicario. It's like that guy's an unbelievably versatile filmmaker, and it's like. But by the same token, dude, I didn't really care that much for Dune. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciated its scope. And a buddy of mine saw it in IMAX. He goes, dude, the thing with the worm in IMAX is so fucking unbelievable. I go, I'm sure I get that, right?
Sure.
But I also have to be moved by something that I can watch on a fucking 12-inch screen. You know what I mean? It's like, you still have to me, it's like, yes, there's an experiential quality. Absolutely, man.
Sure.
But with the dramaturgy or whatever the hell it is, still has to work in the smallest form. Like, dude, I watched the fucking trailer for like the whale, and I was crying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, on my phone, right? On my phone. So I think that but again, going back to like Denny, I think that guy's just a rare bird, and that he's able to take on any number of,
it's insane.
Without kind of succumbing to, and I guess you could say Dune is still a gigantic sci-fi franchise, and as was Blade Runner, so on and so forth. But like, I think that, you hopefully have a guy like that, like what Inarritu just did with Bardo. It's like you just go off the rails a bit, right?
Yeah.
You just go over here, because I'm sure that the temptation is, and I think that's the true artist. It's like, yeah, guys, I want to go fuck with this for a while and you know what I mean? And like,
yeah. Well, that's what at least that's what I'm looking for as a director. Like if I'm putting together, I just shot something 2 weeks ago, and it was a short that I did, and I just hadn't shot in a while because of COVID and everything. And so I was like, fuck this, I got to make something. So I put this thing together, and when I plan something out, I see things. I love big movies, as you can tell. And so when I plan things out, I plan them out that way. And if I'm planning out sequences, I'm like, okay, here's how I would do this sequence, and this is what this means. But then when I get on set, like, you find something and you're like, this is going to be fucking weird. And I mean, I'm talking about something that no one's seen yet, but there's a moment when we're shooting and we're messing with this light, and I have this new light that's got this ability to aperture down, and it's almost like a spotlight. And we're just.
Mike, can you hold 2 seconds? Somebody's at my front door. Hang on a minute.
Sure, of course.
Hi, I'm right from Vortex. Can you pick up the system?
Oh shit! Come on in, brother. Yeah. Come on in, brother. Just in that back bedroom.
Okay.
That's the cable. They're right there, dude. So knock yourself out.
Thank you.
Thanks, bro. Sorry, brother. I had a Avid in my home cutting Shadow Force, and I say it like it's like I'm elegant about the process. I'm not. I'm like a caveman. I'm an idiot when it comes to. But Kevin Hale, who's editing this movie, who I've known for 27 years. We started in television together. He's such a fucking deeply talented guy, and I feel bad sometimes. I'm like, dude, just let me do my dummy shit with the footage, And he always gives me the space to kind of just go find stuff that's like, oh, did you see this? Did you see that? And he humors me. But anyway, they're taking it out. So anyway, sorry, brother. I was interrupting your story, but continue.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. So what I was saying is that I was on set, and we were messing with this new light that has this ability to iris down. And, it's a very small team. I'm shooting it. I'm helping lighting it. I'm directing. I'm doing too much. And so I played with this light, and I go, that's fucking rad. And this is a sequence where this guy goes into sort of this meditation sequence, and none of this was planned. And I look at it and I go, wouldn't it be fucking cool if we did a light gag here and we did this bit where we get real fucking trippy and we just get lost in it? And I know that when the piece is done, people are going to go, that part was fucking weird and that part was cool. And it was just having the ability to recognize that on set and not be afraid to go off the fucking rails with that. And I often wonder when you're doing these giant movies, if you're allowed to do that, if you're allowed to just be like, look, I know we boarded for fucking 3 weeks on this sequence, but fuck that. Like, here's this really cool fucking thing that we're discovering. Can we do this?
Right. No, I think I think it's tougher to do that, bro. I think it gets like, I mean, listen, I thought the biggest thing I've ever done budget-wise is the A-Team. And I felt like Tom Rothman, God bless him, gave me a lot of rope to hang myself, but he also let me, I improv'd a lot, especially the actors, we'd throw things in there, they do them. It's like there was, of course, there's an adherence to, guys, we need to nail this sequence, we need it to be this or that or what have you. But like there was also a great sense of, and I don't think that's the case with everybody. I think, I have a relationship with Tom that I think is really unique, in that he, even on Bad Boys, it's like he let, even in the script phase, he kind of let a lot of things, develop and evolve. But I feel like it's probably not the case on these larger things. But also think about, Mike, you're shooting with a camera, maybe two cameras. These guys are shooting with 12, 13, 14. You're covering fucking everything. So when you're in the cutting room, they're not lacking for anything because they've so overcovered the shit. Yeah. That I don't know that like, dude, even watching your movie, it's like all those amazing shots of what look like a nervous system or like bloodstream. And then you'd see the black start to leak in. I'm like, how the fuck did he do that, man? It's like, it felt like great experimentation. And I said to you, it's like, it felt like that's what Prometheus wanted to be, right? This idea of, this infection, that evil is the kind of the root cause of this infection. And it's like, but I'm looking at some of that stuff going, this is fucking dynamite, man. This is like, Terry Malick shit.
I could tell you, dude, the short story of it is, I knew that I didn't have money. So there's a couple things that you'd find fascinating. I knew that I wasn't going to have the kind of money to do CGI. And if you got shitty CGI, there's no accidents. Shitty CGI just looks like shit consistently.
Yes, it does. It does. That's true.
And from my years of being a cinematographer, I know that as long as I've got light and glass, I can find things accidentally. So I was like, I need to have this fluid. I want to have a fluid that I could practically shoot and that I could puppeteer. And so I did the research and I was digging around and I found ferrofluid, which is a magnetic fluid. It's full of metal. So like you can actually puppeteer it with magnets.
That's crazy.
And so
that jumping thing, the black, I thought that can't be CG. It looks too good.
Dude, it's all in camera, dude. And so I did the research online and I was like, well, how difficult is this stuff? Fucking toxic, And so I was doing this research and I found this amazing photographer. His name is Lyndon Gledhill. And he shoots this beautiful stuff like spikes and all this really great, beautiful shit, rainbow colors. And so I wrote to him. This is before I had a script. And I wrote to him and I said, hey, man, I'm thinking about shooting this thing. And, how hard is this fucking shit to work with? And he goes, well, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I could send you the outline of what I'm doing. And I just sort of passively sent it to him. And I was like, hey, here's a bunch of questions. He wrote back to me. He goes, I'll do it. And I go, you'll do what? And he goes, I want to do the movie. And I go, oh, I wasn't all right. And he goes, yeah, just come to my house. He's like, I'm in Pennsylvania. So he was in Amish country, Pennsylvania.
Jesus Christ.
And I was in Boston. And so he goes, just come to my house and we'll shoot stuff. And I went, okay. And so I get in the car. I plan it all out. I get in the car and I'm driving with my assistant who I had for years. And we're driving out there and he goes, does it ever fucking occur to you that this guy can be a fucking serial killer? He's like,
you go to the lion's den, dude.
He's like
John Wayne Gacy. Yeah, exactly.
He's like,
Ed Gein used to live in a farmhouse in the middle of nowhere.
So he's like, he's just, you just talked to him on fucking line. So we get there. This guy's a biochemist, right? And so he's got all these microscopes set up and he built all these like little rigs with magnets. And we shot everything on like all that really, really tight stuff on sets that were the size of a dime. So it's a surface of a dime. And we were shooting them through microscopes. And then there were bits and pieces where I'm puppeteering it. And I had my production designer with me and I go, what would be fucking rad? I think we should do this shot where if you can get me a brain, if you get me like a sheep's brain, we cut it in half and we'll put it in a tray and I'll put a tray full of this fluid next to it. And now these magnets are so fucking powerful that if I put two of them next to each other and my hand in between, it'd crush my hand. Like they're super fucking powerful. It's crazy, dude. And so I said, let me just puppeteer this fluid. So we'll shoot down on this brain and then I'll puppeteer this fluid and it'll cover the brain and it'll go to black and it'll be a sweet transition. Maybe that'll be like a title transition. And he's like, yeah, okay. He goes and gets the brain, cuts it in half. I set up the tray And I'm looking at the monitor. My eyes are on the monitor, which is above me, and I run the magnet under the table. And so we do the shot, and I run the magnet, and the fluid just disappears. And I'm looking at the fucking monitor going like, what the fuck's going on? And I look back, and the fluid's gone. Like it's moved out of the tray into the tray with the brain. And I start moving the magnet, and the brain starts moving. The brain absorbed all the fluid.
Get out, dude.
It was fucking wild. It was fucking wild. So I was able to puppeteer this half-dead brain because the fluid was inside of it.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And dude, I'll let this out, man. We shot all the effects. I shot the effects for the movie before I shot the movie. We did everything for all that beautiful shit that looks like it's amazing. $500, the whole fucking thing. 3 days.
Get the fuck out. See, brother, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. And I thought some of that imagery was so amazing. It's like,
Thanks, man.
I mean, brother, get the fuck out. You should have lied. You should have said 50 grand.
I did. I said 50 grand.
It's still impressive, you know, at fucking 50 grand instead of over 500. Holy shit. But dude, again, brother, to the point, right? To the point that it doesn't, that this is what I'm talking about in the sense of that level of creativity will supersede money and overcome whatever those shortcomings may be. Because we always had this idea, well, I just don't have the money. It's not the money. It's not the money. Yeah, but that's bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, but you have the means to do what you're talking about, which I just think is extraordinary, dude. You know, it's just extraordinary.
Well, dude, and I don't want this to be about me, but I think some of this is relevant. I think at the end of the day, and I think you can agree with me on this, it's almost harder to make a shitty movie. Like, as long as you do your fucking prep, and prep is free.
Yeah.
So as long as you do your months of fucking prep and you think about it and you have time to fucking process it, like, here's another great example. We had to build, so we shot 12 cam in Boston, in a small town outside of Boston. So it was in Franklin, Massachusetts.
Any of those guys, were those guys Russian speakers?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a whole other conversation. So we shot this thing in a small town outside of Boston, and I had access. I knew this guy that had this giant warehouse, old school mill warehouse that he was going to tear down. And I went to him and he's like, dude, I would love to help you. The place is going to get torn down in 30 days. You have the space for 30 days to do whatever you want with. And so I was like, oh, fuck. You know, so it was like, okay, cool. And this is when I was just sort of doing a preliminary sort of search around going like, can I even fucking do, where the fuck am I going to do like a drill site? And so he's like, you could do this thing for 30 days. So I got this, from years of doing commercials and music videos, I knew this really great team of people that were working on surrogates. Remember the Bruce Willis movie? So they were working on surrogates during the day.
Yeah.
And they were moonlighting for me at night. And the production designer, I was running around grabbing shit in Franklin, small town, backwoods fucking town, right? And so the production designer calls me up and he goes, dude, you don't have the money for the fucking lumber to build this shit. And I go, what do you mean I don't have the money for the lumber to build this shit? He goes, you just don't. You don't have the money for it. And I go, give me fucking 10 minutes. And so I hang up the phone, and wherever I was, I remember I drove by this old lumber yard, right? And so I backpedaled, drive to this lumber yard, which looks like it comes out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? Like there's fucking saloon push doors that you have to go through to get into the spot. So I walk into this place and there's this like horseshoe counter with some like big overweight Texas Chainsaw looking dudes with overalls on, you know, and they're all there. And I walk in, and because we're shooting outside of LA, because we're shooting in a small town, I walk in there and the guy's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, you see all those big trucks and shit? I'm doing a movie. And the guys go, what? And I go, yeah, I'm doing a fucking movie. And they go, that's fucking cool. I go, yeah. And I turn to him and I go, is there any world in which you've got like a big old pile of fucking rotted, fucking weathered fucking lumber that's in your yard? And the guy goes, yeah. And he walks me out and shows me this awesome pile of lumber. And it's like, it's already aged, right? You don't have to do any weathering on it. And I turn to him and I go, well, what do you want for that whole fucking pile? And he goes, I'll tell you what, you get rid of it when you're done, you can take it for free.
Holy shit.
So I called the production designer and I was like, you got your fucking lumber. Go get it.
Wow.
And it's prep, dude. It was because I had that 30 days of prep. It was because I wasn't freaking the fuck out. And I was like, no. There's 100 reasons how we can make this shit work. And if that's your mentality, then your stuff can be that high quality when you're just doing indie stuff. If you give yourself time and you allow yourself that fucking prep, then you're in, dude. You know?
And I also think, brother, there's that degree of also of innovation, right? Your commitment to kind of like, listen, I'm just not going to do this. One, I don't have the money to do it CGI, and two, I don't think it's going to be as good. And by the way, dude, you're right. Like even that shot with the guy with it on the glasses, like the fucking like that stuff animated office. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man! Like that can't be digital. Like it can't be. Like that's amazing, bro. Like but I also think it's like again that. We've forgotten. It's like my buddy who's now directing television, but he was my stunt coordinator for years, Ben Bray, said, the sad thing is about these stunts now is that you have some of the safest, most lightweight equipment. You can do all these amazing gags because it's 10 times as safe, 10 times as, and they don't want to do it anymore because it's just, let's CGI it. Let's just CGI that,
See, but there's also something missing from that, man. Like, what was the show I just watched? The one with my brain isn't functioning right now. Fucking Big Lebowski, the dude from Big Lebowski.
Jeff Bridges, the old guy, is it the old man?
Yeah, the fucking fight scenes that happen in like the second episode or third episode in the car that are just so small and intimate and vicious, and you're like, fuck, you feel it.
You get away from that shit because you're just like. It's like, again, it's easier to do it this way. It's easier to kind of to not have that to not deal with it. That's what it comes down to. You're just not dealing with it in the moment, and that's what I think is unfortunate. Because you're going to pay for it one way or the other. Why not plan and do it right? But that's not the way that the studios tend to think, brother. They tend to think there's an immediacy. And there's a day-to-day and the longer game. And I get it, man. You're, whatever. You got X amount of movies. You're trying to put out multiple fires across a whole slate of shit. So, but it is and remains an imperfect process, the way that we approach those things.
But there's something to be said, I think, with you doing that early on with NARC and you grabbing that camera and running and having that kinetic energy. That kinetic energy has like translated through you. I mean, look at fucking, look at Smoking Aces, man.
Right.
Like that kinetic energy is the first thing that I would define you as. I mean, besides like really well-written scripts and like really funny sort of ballsy testosterone-filled sequences, I feel like more than anything, your stuff is just turbo injected with fucking kinetic energy, dude.
Right. No, I think that, dude, I think that might be, I mean, the first, it's so funny, dude. I just kind of last year spent like, dude, I had X amount of fucking months as we were cutting this other film, restoring my very first movie, which is a movie called Blood, Guts, Bullets, and Octane, right? I made it for like $8,000. It got me to Sundance. And
so cool. And
I thought, shit, man, I just went through, dude. And I think they were like, I went through every reel and like on Frame.io, which I don't know if you ever used this, brother. This is amazing. Because you could just go on there and it's like an annotate thing. You just circle. There's a piece of dirt. And I had these guys clean the whole fucking thing up for me. And then Craig Mann, the sound mixer, who I just love, he did everything in like 7:1. I'm like, bro, this is crazy. I'm never going to show this thing in 7:1, But like, but dude, to see that fucking thing, and I realized at the time, my philosophy on making that movie, because we were all amateurs and it was like a student film, was like, listen, shit ceases to be shitty if it's moving fast enough. You know what I mean? Like if it escapes the scrutiny of the eye and you don't linger on shit. And I think at the time, because again, dude, at the time, nobody could make any kind of crime film or crime related movie without immediately drawing the Tarantino comparison.
Sure.
Immediately, which that movie was never really influenced. That movie was really the Coen brothers and Elmore Leonard and it had, and like used cars, like Bob Zemeckis, like that was where that movie came from. But the kind of the cross cutting was like a JFK thing. Okay, fuck, man. Stone did this really beautifully in JFK. I can get away with it because it'll just kind of it'll be this pastiche. And I think that sensibility, maybe up until The Gray, right, where I deliberately tried to slow stuff down.
But dude, that
was a kind of an abiding creative pervasion that was always there. It's like, I just got to let's speed this up. And it's funny, dude. Complete digression, and yet on topic is I just watched for like the first time in like 25 years the other night, His Girl Friday, and dude, I found it at a point insufferable to watch. It was fucking painful because it was though Howard Hawks took like fistfuls of cocaine and threw them in fucking Cary Grant's face and Rosalind Russell's face and everybody else in that cast. And I was like, I was getting a fucking headache, and it was and it was unbearable. It really was, dude. It was fucking unbearable. And and this is considered a classic, but I would maybe. But it's 82 years old, man. There's just some shit in that movie that don't work no more. But again, dude, I think you can be too quippy and clever and too fast. Yeah. For your own good. It's like, it's funny, dude. Like you look at Michael Bay and Baz Luhrmann, and they wouldn't necessarily draw the same comparisons.
But I do.
Baz Luhrmann brother cuts just as much as Michael Bay does.
Dude, 100%.
Right? But and again, like I just loved Elvis because I wasn't expecting it, and I thought that fucking kid Austin Butler was just lights out. And it just shows you how brilliant an actor Tom Hanks is because I fucking hated him. Yeah. I hated him in that movie, right? Yes. But dude, Baz Luhrmann cuts just as fast, right? So there's a methodology. And why is the belief system in one way skewed to go, well, it's Baz Luhrmann, versus Michael Bay? So it's like, but that kineticism, like, dude, Ambulance is just an absolute fucking freak show of a movie, right? Yes. When they're operating in that goddamn ambulance, I'm in, man, right? It's like, it's riveting.
Dude, I've been saying this since the beginning, and I've been trying, because we ended up pitching to his company. I've been trying to get him on the show, and I know he reads my comments. I think he's worried that I'm going to talk shit. I fucking love Michael Bay, and I love his, I think his compositions are like glorious, and I think his stuff is beautiful. And yeah, he may overcut a lot of different things, but he's got a fucking formula that works internationally.
I would say something. Anybody that trash talks Michael Bay, I can watch 10 seconds of his shit and go, "That's Michael Bay."
Yeah,
100%. That has to mean something. That's got to have the stature of something, And dude, listen, like I said. Brother, the guy's doing fucking drone shots, flying right up in fucking City Hall and then down again. I'm like, this motherfucker's out of his mind, right? But he's going for it. He's going for it, right? It's like he's going for it. Whether you like it or dislike it, the fucking guy is leaning out and going for it, right?
Yes.
So again, brother, I think some parts of these discussions again are like, I like that sense of kinetic, I like the sense of movement. I don't like to but by the same token, it's like when you can slow it down. Like, dude, my ex-wife would always say, which is probably why she's my ex-wife. She's like, I like your dramas. I don't like your comedies. I like your dramas, right? It's like, honey, I made 2 of them. Like, I made Narc and The Gray. Like, those are my dramas. But I understand. Like, it's like, I love the other ones, bro. I love fucking Stretch is one of my favorite movies that no one's ever fucking seen.
I've seen it. It's great, man. It's a great movie. Dude,
it's a blast. And I work with Patty Wilson, who I think is one of the most talented motherfuckers walking, in this business. And so, but dude, I think that where I thought, brother, in your film, you had this great, it's that great suspense building. It's that great sense of timing in the graduation of these moments from one to the other.
Thanks, man.
Until they fucking turn that fucking speaker on, you're like, holy shit, man. It's like that takes a degree of patience and trust and confidence that I think is hard to come by and again, dude, I think it's that constant, everybody's got the studio on their back. I got a buddy of mine right now who who's a pretty well-known filmmaker dealing with the situation. Mm-hmm. He made a horror film for a studio in town, and they've completely taken it from him. And they've taken what was Rosemary's Baby and turned it into Scream. You know what I mean? Like, right. So he's having to kind of comport himself in a way that, I counsel him because I went through it recently. A situation where, I wanted my name off a movie. Mm-hmm. And so he's kind of dealing with that same thing, but the pain, dude, that you often encounter because there's that faster is better mentality. It pervades the studio system. Speed it up, speed it up, speed it up, which I'm all for it, man. Listen, if I could make every movie in 90 minutes, brother, I think a 95 minute movie is kind of perfect.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Some films resist being, 90 minutes, 95 minutes. I could think of some movies in the not too distant past here that I go, you could have taken 35 minutes out of that motherfucker, no problemo, right?
Yeah.
But I get that I know what was Endgame was 2 hours and I enjoyed every goddamn frame of that.
Yeah.
Certain movies, I love me some Chris Nolan. Dude, I could have taken 30 minutes out of Tenet, no problem. But it's Chris Nolan, right? It's Chris Nolan. Man.
Sure.
So that's understandable. That's a guy whose shit you want to, as a grandiosity about it and a scale and a presence, and you want that, experience. And thank God. But I can look at it just objectively and go, you don't need that. Get rid of it. Get rid of this. Go.
Sure. 100%. Yeah.
My long-winded fucking, you paid me this lovely compliment and I just talked for fucking 20 minutes.
That's why you're here, dude. It's a fucking podcast, Joe. That's what we do.
God, impolite. My mother would be like, let that poor man talk.
All right, let's take a break from this epic conversation because I want to talk about my friends. I want to talk about the people that support the show. I want to be talking about the sponsors. I want to talk about you. I want to talk about contest giveaways. This is your chance. If for those of you who are young filmmakers that want to get nerdy and you're like, Mike, what are you using? What are you shooting with? What kind of gear do I have to get? What kind of camera settings do I have to make my stuff look like a Joe Carnahan movie? I can't promise I'll tell you all that stuff, but I can tell you what I use. And then you can decide if you want to get it or not. And I'll tell you this, you don't have to buy any of this stuff that I'm selling you. You don't. I know you're going to want to. I know that this is stuff that I use. So if you guys are trying to replicate my thing or you guys want to understand how I use stuff, this is the stuff. And I try to be as honest about it as possible. I approach these companies. I approach them. And I convince them to be a part of this show because I like their stuff. I use their stuff. I like the way their business is run. I like their customer service. All important things. So know that when I have sponsors on this show, I am definitely hunting them down. All right? First up, they've signed on for next year. These guys have been with me since the beginning. If you're in the marketplace to build a new PC, if you want to be cutting, you need a new edit machine. You got stuff that you got to do for post-production, VFX. Maybe you're an engineer. You got to do some CAD stuff, simulation work. Maybe you're building an AI machine. Build yourself a PC. You'll save money. You'll be able to specifically build it with the hardware you need at competitive fucking prices. This is what's so great about building a PC is that you're going to an open market with competitive pricing on it. And the newest piece on the market drops in value instantly. It's not being controlled by a giant company that only builds specific things and has deals with specific manufacturers, which then keeps the prices high. You know what I mean? Puget Systems is the company that I found when I decided that I was going to jump ship from Apple. I'll say them. I don't care. Apple. Jump ship as soon as they stopped supporting me as a filmmaker, as soon as they started playing games with updates. Software updates, and suddenly my hardware is rendered useless. Giant thousands of dollars worth of equipment that I'm now supposed to throw in the fucking trash because of a software update. No. So I decided to jump ship, build myself a PC, and I didn't want to be the guy building the PCs because I was running a post-production company at the time, and my job is creative. I don't want to be customer support. So I needed to find a company that was going to do it with solid customer support. I found Puget Systems. Go to PugetSystems.com right now. Here's what they say on their homepage. Computers should just work. At Puget Systems, we believe that computers should be a pleasure to purchase and own. They are 100% right about it. They should get your job done and not be a hindrance. Head on over there right now. If you don't know where to start, they can help. You can talk to an expert, get consultations immediately. You can browse by hardware. You can browse by software. These guys have done benchmark tests on hardware and software. So if you're building your own machine, they're a great fucking resource for you. They love the community. These guys are always at conventions. They're always at festivals. They're in different places, having beers, setting up things, meeting all these creators. They support me. I know they support the Corridor guys. If you guys are Corridor Digital fans, they also sponsor them too. So head on over to PugetSystems.com or follow them on Instagram at Puget Systems and just text them and say, hey, thanks for supporting In Love with the Process. Thanks for being there for fucking years, man. Tell them. Happy holidays to those guys. I love all of you. Hope you guys have a great year, and I hope you guys have an even better year next year, and I can't wait to continue our sponsorship. Also supporting the show are our friends over at Jambox, jambox.io. This is the place to go for licensed music. So if you're creating your own movie, let's say you're making your own short film, and you want to put it up on YouTube, maybe you want to cast it out into the sea that is YouTube. But YouTube keeps denying it. I don't know. Why can't it go up there? Maybe it's because you put that fucking Jay-Z song in it, right? And you're like, hey, I wrote this whole script around this Jay-Z song without getting the rights for it. Not like you could afford it anyways. And then you design this whole edit. And you're like, man, why can't I just put this up there? It's not how music works. Why not design a whole piece around a track that you can get your hands on for a good price, a decent price, a cheap price, really, right? Go to jambox.io and just listen to the music that they have available. It is at that level. Their music is phenomenal, fantastic. It's stuff that you would have on your Spotify playlist. I'm telling you, just go listen to the music there right now. Let it inspire you. Go through the genres. Think about scenes that you can make with that kind of music. You know, think about how it'll make your podcast better. How many lame podcast music selections are out there? Go to Jambox right now. Sign up for a 30-day free trial on the unlimited creator plan. And that gives you $9.99 a month. Will give you access to all their music for social media, web streaming, podcasts, film festivals, etc. That's only $9.99 a month with a 30-day free trial. Do the math. Go there, get the free trial, get the music you need. You know what I mean? Sign up for that. Or you could do the commercial plan, which I do, is $19.99 a month. Gives you access to all that music, plus the sound effects, and most importantly, the stems. So you can break songs down into individual stems. The beat, you know, the lead guitar, the singing, and then you can reconstruct those songs to fit your edit. No more having to tailor your edit to a track. It's epic. If you're a student, you get all that for $6. I'm telling you right now, go to jambox.io. It will change the way your work looks and feels. It will elevate you to get better clients. I'm telling you. Jambox.io. Supporting the show are our new friends over at Bokeh Rentals. All right, we're all excited. I know all of you listening to the show love visuals. There's a lot of cinematographers. Everybody's like getting crazy about how everything looks these days. And I'll admit it, man, we're in sort of a renaissance period for cinematography, right? Everything looks good. Even dog shit shows on TV look amazing. Amazing. Seems like producers have smartened up and they're dumping cash in the way things look. If you want your stuff to look like the stuff you see on Netflix, the stuff you see in the theater, why not rent from the places that provide that equipment to those people? I've said this since the beginning. Instead of buying equipment, why not form a relationship with your local rental company? Right? Because then you have access to everything. Everything. You form a relationship, you find out how much it costs to rent things. It's super easy to do. Then you put it in your budgets, and then you can get your hands on the same lenses that they shot the Joker with. Bokeh Rentals is the place to go. What I love about Bokeh is that not only on their website, bokehrentals.com, but also on their Instagram page, they will show examples of what stuff looks like shot through the lenses that they have in stock. So fucking useful for those of us that are planning something and you're like, I don't know, what lenses are the right lenses to use for this? And you can actually go see that. It's the shit, man. I love these guys. They're great. They're going to be with us this year. Hopefully they're going to be doing some contests, maybe some giveaways. I'm excited to have Bokeh Rentals on as a sponsor for the show, and I'm excited to be able to introduce those of you who don't know them. I know there's a lot of you who do, but check them out. Go to bokehrentals.com and be as impressed as I am with those guys. Finally, sponsoring the show and our contest giveaway is from the really awesome guys over at indieprotools.com. I'm going to go to their website right now. indieprotools.com is the place to go for your power solution needs when it comes to powering your cameras or accessories. A lot of the new cameras on the marketplace have these tiny little batteries, and some of the cameras don't even come with a charger. You have to plug the camera in itself to charge them. Strange, right? I was like, nah, don't want that. I actually want to get some gold mounts or some V-mount batteries, stick it on a little camera plate on my little handheld rig, and I want that battery not only to power my camera, but also to power the monitor, the onboard monitor, the follow focus, everything. And I want those batteries to last a long time, and I want a sweet, high-powered charger that'll quickly charge them. So I never am making talent wait on camera. That's the worst, right? You finally get the actor in the right place. You finally talked about the motivation that they need to be in. Maybe you've given them the question that answers the entire bit for them. And they're like, I'm ready to go. And you go, all right, roll camera. And then the assistant camera goes, I'm sorry, the camera battery went down. You go, oh, fuck. All right. And he's like, yeah, but it's underneath I have to take it off the cage. And you're like, why are we doing this? Can you please just get some batteries from Indie Pro, stick them on the back so that way you can quick release it, stick that other battery on, and we're ready to roll. We're ready to roll in under a minute. Under a minute. You know what I'm saying? So change up your setup today. Go to indieprotools.com. And if you guys want to try to win a setup from Indie Pro Tools, let me tell you what the setup is. We are giving away a complete battery package. So it is a V-mount battery and power kit that can be used. No, I'm sorry. That's not that. That was the old contest. Ooh, we already gave away one of those. Enter to win. Here's the new contest. Enter to win a 2X Micro Series V-mount set of batteries and a charger. So some V-mount batteries and a charger. I think this goes for like $600 normally. We're giving it away. You'll find the graphic on my Instagram page. I should pin that higher. You'll find the graphic on my Instagram page, just right underneath it, that you want to win this battery set. And then all you need to do is go to Indie Pro Tools Instagram page. Underneath any of their images, just write, thank you for supporting the podcast, and tag me in it so I see you did it. And that will enter you in. First week in January, I will randomly pick a winner, and they will win the battery pack from Indie Pro Tools. All right? There you go. I think that's everybody. I wrote them all down. It's the last episode of the year. I don't want to fuck this up. Puget Boca did it. Yeah, we're good, man. That's it. Let's get back into it with Joe. There's been this interesting experiment that I've been doing with 12 cam, right? And so people are giving me too much credit. Basically, I think, and I was talking to my fucking therapist about this, and I have a therapist because of the movie business. So I was talking to my therapist about this the other day, and she said, so how did this whole thing start? And I go, well, we finished 12 cam in like the end of 2016, right?
Wow.
And so this movie, I was never going to drop to the public anyways. When we got it done, immediately I got access to be able to show it to folks. I got representation. I went through the whole process, and I said, all right, well, this is just going to go out to the industry. I won't go to the public. But this is one of those things that I would talk about all the time on the podcast or on other podcasts, on guest shows, that kind of thing. And you know the deal. Like, this business beats the fuck out of us. There's multiple movies that we've put together and they've fallen apart. And so I think I just sort of hit a point where I was in this, just bitter place. And I was talking on the shows and the hosts of the shows who had seen 12 Cam, and they'd be like, well, how can our audience see it? And I was just like, if you write to me on Instagram and send me your 3 favorite horror movies, and if I agree with you, yeah, all right. And I just assumed that would be, a couple hundred people, whoever the fuck was listening to the show. I didn't expect it to catch fire the way it did, and I didn't expect the results of that to catch fire. And the one thing that I'm learning is it's marketing 100%. And when I go back and I look at all of my favorite movies, and I go back and look at the movies of my childhood, and I sit there and I go, If E.T. was made today by a young filmmaker and it was just dumped on Netflix or was dumped on YouTube, same fucking movie, would it still be a big success? Would it not have been a big success without the fucking Reese's Pieces commercial fucking crazy ads and build up for that thing? Like, would it still be as big?
The great Atari game? I mean, who could forget, bro? Fantastic Atari game that wound up in a landfill in Arizona. I mean, no, dude, that you're absolutely right, brother. And I think that's also the way that you've marketed this. It's so, I mean, brother, like, I don't know if you've seen Apollo 10 and a half, Rick Linklater's film.
No.
Brother, when I tell you it's one of the best films I've seen in the last 5 years.
Really?
It completely vanished on Netflix. I mean, this is a guy who made some of my favorite, like Dazed and Confused and Slacker. This is like, that guy's a major filmmaker of the last, and this movie that he made, which is he does it in the cell, kind of like the Scanner Darkly, that same kind of animated fashion.
Cool.
Brother, when I tell you, I watched it 3 times. It's so fucking funny. And it reminds me of being a kid in the 70s, like my childhood.
Nice.
And it's like, why is this, it's like, if you had told me, Mike, that we'd have a year where Bob Zemeckis made a Pinocchio movie with Tom Hanks that no one fucking saw.
I know.
I'd tell you, well, you're nuts. What are you talking about? It's Robert Zemeckis. It's like, but this is where we are, dude. And some of this is like, is there anything that's going to be special anymore? And I think what you did brilliantly with your movie, dude, is you turned it into something special. And the fact you made it 6 years ago is immaterial because it's gorgeous.
Thanks.
And it looks like it was shot yesterday, right?
Thanks.
So that to me is the whole key. And dude, what's interesting is what I'm really fascinated with. What did it teach you specifically as a filmmaker? What did it show you? Holy shit, man. There's a draw. Yeah. You created this kind of what you thought was kind of a novelty. Give me your 3 favorite horror films and maybe I'll send it to you. And fucking people went nuts. You know why, dude? Because you contextualize it in a very straightforward, simple way.
Thanks, man.
Like you didn't make them jump through hoops. You didn't make them write me an essay on, you know what I mean, on the origins of horror and how Brian De Palma differs from John Carpenter. It's like, no, man, I like this, and this. Great, here's a link.
Yeah, yeah.
It's dude, because you're asking for people's participation, and people want to give you their fucking opinion.
Especially in this genre, like the horror fans. And I'm. Let me just say, as you're listening, to those of you listening, this has been such an accidental thing, and I fucking love it. Like, I have absolutely loved interacting with each and every person. And I've had people say to me, like, well, why don't you just fucking put it online? Why don't you just do this? I go, picture this. This is as if I'm putting on screenings in your town and I'm standing in the doorway and I'm asking who you are and I'm saying hello to you before I hand you a fucking ticket. That's essentially what this is.
Amazing, dude. It's amazing.
Dude, I was doing
it's the bespoke experience. It is.
Yeah.
Right? It is. It really is.
It works well, dude. I think the thing that's fascinating about it, to get back to my point, is that I have people clamoring to young kids clamoring and asking me to watch a movie about a bunch of dudes in Russia speaking in Russian in a different fucking language because they want to be a part of this thing. And it's like, okay, so that throws out every fucking note I've ever had from studios, where it's just like, the difference is that you guys aren't willing to invest in clever, fun, build up marketing anymore. And it's because of that marketing that I love fucking Die Hard. It's because of that marketing that I love fucking Predator. It's because of the hype. You need hype for this shit. Everybody wants to know what the best restaurant is to go to. Everybody wants to know what to fucking watch. And you just don't get that with the streamers because they don't hype anything.
No, and by the way, that's the thing. I miss that. I remember being a kid. I remember specifically having this. I think it was like watching like Battlestar Galactica, right, as a kid.
Yeah.
And seeing the first fucking Alien teaser. That it scared the living shit out of me. And then there's this fucking egg at the end, like traveling over that fucking, it looked like clay kind of, that whole field of like, what in the fuck is that?
So good.
Right? It was terrifying to me, dude. And it was and brother, it remains brilliant if you watch it now. Like every once in a while I'll watch the original teaser that it's just that brilliant sound design. It's alarming as shit.
I love it.
It's scary as shit. And you're like, man, I don't know what that is. It's fucking, but it's like, and again, that idea, dude, of we can't show this fucking thing because it's a guy in a suit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So how do we now make this, and just the photography, bro, there's a DP special, like that shot of her fingers coming over the thing. There's all that crystallization.
Oh my God, dude.
The glass that they were using to shoot that, it's like,
God, dude.
It's like, dude, I guess it was I think it was the same lenses they used for all the close-ups in Blade Runner. I think it was a 65 mil gold Panavision. And dude, like Dan Mindell, we're shooting a commercial with Danny Mindell, and Dan owned one of those. And I may not have the story exactly right, but I think I do. One day he just came in. It was at Panavision, and he went to get the lens, and it was gone, and there was a check for $250,000 with, hey, Danny, love the lens, signed Jim. Jim Cameron just bought the fucking Jim Cameron just decided to give him $250,000 to take the fucking lens. I mean, I hope I have that right, that story. If not, it could be true. But like, I thought it was the funniest goddamn thing.
Oh my God.
But yeah, brother, again, that what you've done, and again, because it's also that attention to detail and that kind of, you're giving people with that short something that's so kind of heightened and cinematic and feels like they're in on something, right? They're in on, and then going the step further, dude, publishing whether they're raves or I thought this movie shit, having the balls to go, man, here's everybody's, it's like people don't do that, dude.
Yeah.
So they want to plug into that because now they trust you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They trust you.
Well, I mean, I honestly said, and I believe this, I've learned, because when you do, you've done big pieces, but if you're not someone that's directing like feature films and getting those kind of things, I would get all sorts of feedback from like big music videos. So, and that would be instantaneous online feedback where it'd be in the comments of fucking YouTube, and someone would be like, this thing fucking sucks, and you just sort of get that feedback. So early on, I just learned, whenever I look at reviews, what I end up doing is I psychologically break it down instantly. So I sort of read through it and I go, okay, can this guy spell? One, like what are the descriptors that he keeps falling back on? Two, and when I'm looking for stuff like this, I'm always looking for relevance. Like I've gotten one note on, and this show's becoming about me, and we'll change the topic after this. But I got notes, one note that I believe in, where they're like, look, there's a couple music cues, and I've consistently got this. There's a couple music cues that feel forced. And I know they're fucking forced because I fucking forced them. And when I put them in there, I was like, yeah, maybe this will work. I'll just put it out. Who gives a shit? And afterwards,
right.
You go, it doesn't work. Not because I think it sucks, but just I don't like the reaction that's getting a large populace of people. So I'm like, got it. So that's why I read reviews. And I love fucking, I went and I saw, I'll say the movie. I went and I saw It Comes at Night, which was that A24 movie. And I was hooked like everybody on A24's advertising. They shoot trailer meat and they do a fucking good job with it.
Brother, was that the one with Joel Edgerton with the dog like barking into the darkness? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I remember that. Yeah.
So the trailer, I was like, fuck yes. And it's like this really great build. Spoilers. You go watch the movie and nothing really comes at night.
No, dude, it doesn't come at night. It just kind of hangs out there. Yeah. And yeah, I'm feeling the same way, dude. It really, I got hyped on, and I love Joel, and I got hyped on that, and I was like, it's like, and again, because you wanted it to fulfill what those expectations were.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like when I watched It Follows, I didn't have any expectations whatsoever. I wanted to dig the shit out of it, right? Yeah. So what a weird fucking, but you go in with these, and then there's stuff, dude, that's so hyped through the moon. You go, and then you go see it and you go, well, I don't get it, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, what's all the hullabaloo about?
Yeah.
It's
when I was in It Comes at Night, the movie, it was a small audience. The movie finishes, and there's this big motherfucker that's sitting in front of me, and he's got dreadlocks, big motherfucker. And the movie goes, the lights come up, and he stands up, and he goes, motherfucker, and he just screams it at the screen. and he walks out, and I turn to my friend, and I go, if I get that reaction for any of my movies, it's a fucking win. That's a win.
By the way, I remember doing the when we did the research screening on The Gray. And it was like, I remember these guys, like there's these 3 dudes and they're like, fuck this movie, man. I wanted to fight that wolf. I wanted to like, they were really pissed off.
Yeah.
And the moderator very wisely goes, okay, guys, fair enough. Okay, you see this on a Friday. Who's talking about it on Saturday? Their hands go up, these guys, right? Okay, you see it on Saturday. Who's talking about it on Sunday? Their hands go up again, right? You see it, okay, you're at the water cooler Monday morning. Everybody's fucking hand goes up, including the guys that proposed to hate it. I'm like, that's all I want. That's all I want. All I want is the conversation. Because it's like, I'll have people go, well, what happened? I go, well, I don't know. What do you think happened? It's like, what do you think? I don't know. What I said, the movie ended the minute that guy made a decision he was going to fucking fight. That's it.
It's
perfect. All you got to know is he's going to fight. That's it. End of movie, right? But dude, the goddamn conversations that inspired and the fucking vitriol that I got, like the shit, like dude, against reading some of your stuff, like you motherfucker, you think I would fucking fuck you with your fucking movie? It's like, I got that shit, dude. It's crazy. It's like, they're so pissed off. They're so fucking pissed off because the assumption is, well, you owe me. You got to tell me what the fuck happened. It's like, no, I don't know you shit. I don't have to tell you shit. What do you think? It's much more interesting to hear what you think than what I think, because what I think doesn't really matter anymore. It's like, it's not, that's the other thing, dude. It's like, it's not present for me. Yeah. Not that I'm not really proud of it. Not that I don't love it. Not that I'm not glad I made it, right? But it doesn't energize the moment for me right now. I did it. You know what I mean? Like I did it. So I'm not going to sit there and dine out on that endlessly. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, listen, unless it gives me fucking like tickets to games on the floor or boxing, you know what I mean? Or a great fucking seat somewhere. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like, who cares? You did it. And I always think that the mistake, dude, is to dwell in that mission accomplished kind of thing. Because the minute you did it, brother, you did it. It's like, okay, you see these guys like that will just kind of years and years and years go by and they're still trying to fucking crack that first nut. They're still trying to get that whole thing. It's like, move, man. Yeah. Move. Yeah. Just do make something else. Just make it. If that is supposed to come back to you, it will. We've all got projects like that. It's like, I hope I spent fucking 12 years trying to make Killing Pablo. And then Jose Padilla and Wagner Moura came along and did it for Netflix brilliantly. I couldn't even knock them. It was fantastic, right? That's 12 years that okay. But I went to Colombia. I met all these wonderful people. I interviewed all these tremendous people. Like I got all this great shit. And that was the experience, right? It didn't mean that, and it doesn't mean I won't make it at some point, but if I don't, I'm not going to sit there and fucking cry the blues. It's like, oftentimes these are just they're transitory moments, dude, and you move on. But the goddamn, the shit that it creates, dude, and the vortex of conversation and opinion and invective and all kinds of wonderful shit and vitriol. Yeah, I'm here for it, man. I think they want you to give them a roadmap. Yeah. But I'm not going to do it. There's no need.
Dude, I completely agree with you. I mean, let's talk about it. So The Gray, I think, is a fucking phenomenal movie. I've always thought it was a phenomenal movie. And it has the ingredients not to be, right? So it's like, okay, so if it wasn't you and if it was somebody else that I just saw this movie, because I knew who you were as a filmmaker, and I'm like, well, Carnahan did this, so there's got to be a reason. But prior to that, I was like, well, who the fuck? This is alive with like lots of flashbacks and emotional flashbacks. Like it has the recipe to be something, that we've seen 100 times. And when you watch that film, there is this, not just a love letter for life, but also this like understanding of death and this like exception of death. That's really fucking like haunting, and it's scary but beautiful at the same time. And whenever I'm thinking about doing some sort of emotional flashback or some sort of emotional context, I'm always coming back to The Gray because you did it so fucking well, man. And it shouldn't have been that well. So it was you that did that, man.
Well, dude, my buddy Ian Jeffers wrote a really beautiful short story called Ghost Walkers that was based on. And I just took it. And dude, listen, it took me, I think 7-8 months to write that script over the course. Because I did, and dude, probably, no bullshit, Mike, probably lost $67 million on that movie because. Really? Scumbag, and I don't mind to call him a scumbag. If you're out there, I hope I see you in traffic. You motherfucker. Just a scumbag financiers who, again, dude, as is their wit to rob everybody blind.
Yeah.
Steal everything that's not bolted down. But by the same token, dude, I don't regret. I'm deeply, deeply proud. I would have made that movie for free. I mean, I basically wound up making it for free.
Yeah.
But I think that what it represents even to me now is my great fear of what it means to be a man, like this idea of this machismo or this kind of bravado, this kind of bullshit notions of. And I think again, you saw this poor guy this guy Twitch take his own life a couple of days ago. From all accounts and all appearances, a really happy-go-lucky guy, and he was Ellen's DJ and beloved and all that stuff. And listen, this happened with Tony Scott. I mean, when I remember being I think I was shooting a commercial in Prague when I got a text from Chris Pine of all people sends me a text, this bummer about Tony. That's how I found out Tony Scott was there. So and Mike, when I tell you he was the last champion of the gray, I wish I had this brilliant message from him, and I wish I'd picked up the phone. But then I'm glad I didn't in some ways, because I got this tremendous that I used to listen to on my own. I've lost it now. This, and it was basically when I was at war with these producers and fighting with everybody. Tony just sent his message going, "Hey Joe, it's town. Movie's fucking great, mate. It's great. Fuck 'em. Kill. That was it. Like, that was Tony." and so, and again, dude, dealing with that post that whole thing, this idea of taking your own life, this idea of being suicidal, and this idea of, and my whole thing on that movie was, you think you want to go until you're faced with it, until you're faced with the end. And then what do you do to fight for the life you have left? What remains? Yeah. And again, dude, and it's like the reality of it, brother, is like I would have like just been in a fetal position, a puddle of piss, and let the wolves rip me apart. But this being wishful thinking and kind of wish fulfillment, he decides, I'm going to rush in and fight these fuckers. And I think that's what we all would like to think. But these were these themes I thought were very relatable and certainly didn't belong to me. Yeah. It was just and that's why I said, dude, you get one of those rare occasions where you just kind of cast a movie out there, like let it go do its thing, and then it evolves in ways you could have never foreseen. It takes on dimensions you never could have anticipated. So I'm very, very lucky in that way that movie did what it did. And it's funny, dude, I hadn't watched it in a long time, and I avoid watching it because it's only now I get to the point where I don't hear all the fucking bad sound edits. Like all of us as filmmakers, like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah, you got to get over that, dude.
But, there was a couple moments, dude, that hadn't wrecked me in the past that really did a number on me. And I think it's just because as you get older, I think different parts of that movie mean different things to you. You know?
Yeah.
And so again, dude, it's one of those, brother, I'm lucky I got to make it. I doubt I'd ever be it. I had Liam at the height of his Liamness, that got the movie made, and him just being a fantastic friend and collaborator. And I think he was dealing with a lot of personal shit on that as well. He was getting over the loss of his wife.
That was terrible.
There was a lot of things baked into that process, brother, that if you sat there and kind of broke it down, it's like, yeah, that's why it worked, because it had this
crazy
tremendous sense of itself, this tremendous heart. And yeah, man. And you're right. On paper, it probably shouldn't, because it could just be, kind of 10 little Indians, they're just slowly knocking people off. But, I've heard, again, theories that, he was the only one that survived that plane crash. He's actually alone, and all those guys are just versions of his personality. They're just aspects of his personality. I thought that was cool.
That's
what I mean?
That's very cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll take credit for everything. I don't give a fuck. I'm a whore, Mike. I'm a whore. Whatever. Sure. It sounds great.
No, I think it's great that you're sort of dismissing it that way, but this is something that I learned really early on. And obviously if you've seen my stuff, I'm a fan of Carpenter, and I'm a fan of The Thing. But my favorite part of that fucking movie is the final shot of that movie, where it's just like, what do we do? I don't know.
What do we do? Let's just sit here. Let's just see what happens. Yeah. What a fucking, and dude, I can certainly see that in The Gray. It's like,
yes,
I'll see you later, man. I'm done. It's like, the fact that, like, where were you, Childs? You know what I mean? Like, where were you? It's like, and you got fucking Keith David, who's just one of the great fucking character actors of all time.
Yeah.
And in that sense of it, I think it's oddly, dude, it's Carpenter's most, like, reaffirming and yet, with the exception of Starman, which I loved,
Yes.
I loved the movie.
Yes.
Very touching. I think that's his most emotional film. But I think it's Carpenter kind of, with the understand this kind of nihilism of like, or the cynicism of like, yeah, we ain't going anywhere. We're just going to kill this thing out here, you know? And you've got, you've got a 25-year-old Kurt Russell that's fucking more manly than, I can't put a 25-year-old right now, dude. That's as much of a stud as that guy was.
Oh my God.
Forget, we have a dearth of like actual kind of that kind of fucking dude. That dude, you know?
Oh, dude. I mean, and I hate to say it this way, but I was raised by those dudes. You know, like I think.
Oh man, me too. And listen, with all due respect to like, I'm not even talking about like, I'm talking about that kind of. There is that rugged. There is that. You know, dude, those performances. You know, fucking Newman and Cool Hand Luke, dude. Like those kind of quintessentially male.
So good.
You know, movie star and Kurt in that movie, dude. And an Escape from New York, like it's like that guy's doing shit that you just don't get, dude. You just don't, you just don't get anymore.
Yeah, like who is that guy today?
I don't, dude. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I'm trying to think of. I think because I think that they're so curated, brother.
Yeah.
Anytime there's like the emergence of kind of talent, or you're this guy, there's an immediate, kind of moderation of those qualities so that it can be maximized for profit.
Sure.
It's like, we don't want to put these people off. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. But I don't think that there's a ready-made, because I think that, I don't know where the term toxic masculinity came from. I certainly don't ascribe to it. Mm-hmm. I don't identify with it. I think it's a bunch of horse shit. I think that, and then the other thing is like, oh, just someone says they have daughters. That makes, well, I have daughters, motherfucker. And trust me, it will have a profound effect on you. I've got a 27-year-old daughter. It has a profound effect on you. Yeah. But I was also raised by an absolute killer assassin of a mom who is the kindest person and the most gentle, wonderful person in the world until she sees you being weak by choice. If you're choosing to be weak, my mom goes, very Bavarian German. That's that for you, But she's the one, dude. My brother Matt is also a byproduct of that upbringing. Like, my mom just brooked no. You weren't going to be a douchebag. You weren't going to be a chauvinist. You weren't going to be any of this stuff. You're going to understand that. You're going to understand that you're not better than anybody else. Skin color doesn't matter. All these things that that was just baked into the process with us, right?
Yeah.
So where that originated, I don't know. But I certainly am not going to back down from my identification, like your identification with those things. Mm-hmm. So that's wrong. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, listen, you read Sandra Locke's biography. Clint was a cunt. I mean, dude, Clint was not a good dude. I still have great fondness in my heart for Clint Eastwood. Yeah. It's not at the expense of what Sandra Locke had to endure, which I'm sure was miserable. But at the same token, she had a career. She had these, these things are seldom, brother, just this one-sided thing. And again, I'm not laying out. It's like, this is what I have to always like backtrack with these comments, right? I've said what I said. I don't think Clint was an ideal. I don't think he was a straight A student, right?
Yep.
But I love Dirty Harry. Yep. I love, you know what I mean? It's hard for me to because in certain regards, brother, like, I don't want to watch Woody Allen movies anymore. It's hard for me to watch Woody Allen movies because what I know, right? It's like, but was he somebody I really looked up to? Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
But I think we're getting into this whole notion of what they call it, like presentism, where, well, if I was back in Jim Crow South, I would have done this and I would have done that. Oh, fuck off. No, you wouldn't have.
Yeah.
No, you but again, dude, that I love those movies, dude. I love Harrison Ford and Raiders. That's a dude.
So good.
Han Solo, that's a dude. Snake Plissken, that's a dude. It's like R.G. McCready, that's a dude. So I'm not going to apologize for that.
No, but also here's the other thing, because I was raised by a tough mom too, and she was the one, like, my dad, and I love him, but my dad was always like, hey, let's go watch Wizard of Oz. And I was like, My mom was always like, hey, let's go see Lethal Weapon. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go see that. she was, a strong feminist and
Right.
100% pounded it in me from when I was a kid. She's like, I know who your Italian uncles are. You're not going to be one of them. And she sort of pounded that into me. But at the same token, she was, in love with Harrison Ford, in love with Bruce Willis, in love with these guys as characters, as a strong feminist. And she was like, he's just so dynamic. He's so interesting on screen. And it's the humanity that sneaks through. And, there's nothing more powerful than a tough guy trying not to cry. You know what I mean? And you watch that on screen and you go, fuck, they love that shit. So when did that become toxic? When did that become something that we're not allowed to see anymore?
By the way, I'm jumping on the guy at 25 who's a fucking absolute man, Mel Gibson.
Yes.
And I know, I work with Mel. Here's the deal. And I see these guys continue to take shots at Mel. Like, listen, and Mel's the first guy to admit he said deeply unfortunate things. I remember him telling me, Joe, the finger of blame for my situation points back at one guy, me. He's he also got sober and has been sober for 14 years or whatever the hell it's been. But our need to constantly, constantly punish people because of past misdeeds and need to flagellate them endlessly for that shit has superseded the whatever real gestures of contrition that he's made. But that guy in Road Warrior was a goddamn man.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like,
oh my God.
Stud. Lethal Weapon, you mentioned, right? Like that, dude, even Bruce in Die Hard, like he was a different version of a very masculine dude, right?
Yeah.
But kind of not yoked, not Stallone in Rambo, or not Schwarzenegger and everything. But a different version of that, but no less kind of manly. And like you said, my mom's, I remember like my mom also had appreciation for Redford and McQueen and these guys, understanding that there was good looking kind of vibrant, challenging, interesting men, and that shouldn't be criminalized now any more than it was then, because my mom, by the same token, I remember Aliens would not have been a film that she ever would have watched. I'll never forget her watching it with me, and the moment that Sigourney Weaver finds Newt's, that Ripley finds Newt's little tracker, and that's be the end of it. And she hears her scream, and she's immediately like a shot on her feet. I'll never forget my mom going, "Oh, well, she's something." Like that from my mother was like, look at her, the maternal instinct in her firing her forward, because that's what my mom was. This endless kind of energy and effort for your kids. Yeah. And that's the way. So at some point it didn't matter that it was this kind of gory, R-rated, whatever. My mom was in, man. Like she just understood it to be larger than contextually what it appeared to be. And I think, and that's, I love her for that. And that, so again, these instincts, dude, in me were largely the byproduct of and I'm sure in your case, a really tough mom, but a really deeply loving, supportive mother,
Yes. And it adds, you know what it is it I'm guilty of it. Everybody's guilty of it, right? We all have strong opinions. We create strong opinions based upon what we hear, based upon what we see at surface value, right? You walk down the street, you see someone coming at you from the other angle, and you're like, what's this person wearing? What are they doing? How are they walking? You're assessing this. And I think it's like inherently within our genes to be a safety thing where you're like, is this dangerous? Am I walking into a dangerous place? But we are now as a species are in rarely in fucking danger that we're using those same skills to just sort of size people up and now try to be heard in this sea of like social media insanity.
Right.
And you just don't get to know them. Like one of the things I love as a byproduct of doing this podcast is that on a weekly basis, within 3 minutes, I have to connect immediately with a stranger and find some sort of common ground.
Right.
And through that, you start to discover like, hey, what I thought of this person is completely fucking wrong. And my barometer for humans are completely fucking wrong. And you just wish that the rest of the planet would sort of get their shit together.
It's not going to happen. I know. But yeah, you wish it would. You totally wish it would. It's like, it ain't going to happen, but yeah, you want it to. And also it's like, but again, dude, that, there's always that additional room for growth. There's always the next thing. There's always the evolutionary step that you can take. And sometimes, again, it's like, so these could be incremental forms of growth. But I think, to kind of succeed as a society, especially with the shit we're dealing with right now, we have to grow, man, and we're just not. We're just, there's too many fucking dummies, talking too much and not listening enough. And this is the situation we find ourselves in, which can be depressing, brother, and daunting. And I think, again, like you had mentioned earlier, like, it's like, I think Spielberg says this as well. It's like, I didn't have therapy. I had movies, and I think I've had both, and I think, and I always feel like there's some part of me, it's like, I'm going to hang on to this. I need to hang on to this little bit of angst because I can put it on screen, And again, you have to ask yourself, like, is there still the room to make these kind of deeply personal things, and not have them be ignored or relegated to, well, that's this or that's, there were certainly elements of your movie, dude, that were very avant-garde to me, and that, and I think those things can coexist, but it's still, dude, within an identifiable genre, which is the horror genre, right?
Yeah.
Which I think I don't think The Grey is a horror film, dude. I think it's got elements of it that are scary, but it's certainly not a horror film. But I want to go into something that's purely kind of horror and see what that experience is like,
it's fun, dude. It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, and not on this, I haven't done it on the scale of stuff that you've done, dude, but like just on the smaller scale, it's just, I think the thing that I love the most about the genre is that the audience wants you to go off the rails. The audience wants to see technique. They want to see you play. They want that shit. And I think because of legends like Sam Raimi, these people that have existed and are known for fucking, putting their technique as part of the horror genre. So they love that. And then we're back talking about 12 Cam, but the thing that I found fascinating about doing this, and I could only do it in this genre, was doing a movie in a language that I don't speak.
Right. That's great, dude.
And working with actors that don't speak English. And so when I was on set, the joke is that I had two translators. I had a translator to tell me what the actor said, and I had a translator to tell me if that other translator was lying.
That's great, dude. That's great. That sums up the level of trust on a film set right there. Yeah, tell me, is this guy bullshitting me? No, he's good. That is hysterical, brother. That's great.
Yeah. What it ended up doing, my point was that because I couldn't speak the language, I knew that I was watching this thing from a standard audience member's perspective. And I wanted to make a film that you didn't need to read the subtitles for. Like you could understand it visually. Right. And so it was almost like making a silent film. And in that range, I was able to do such fun things like who's got the power play here and how does the camera position change based upon power play? What does this mean as far as blocking is concerned? And it's celebrated because it's in that genre. I think it would have been, I couldn't have done that if it was a comedy. I couldn't have done that if it
or a straight drama, brother. It was just like a Chernobyl, forget it. Forget it.
Yeah.
But horror has its own titillation.
Yeah.
It has its own kind of, it does, dude. And I think oftentimes it can be kind of salacious. We want to see, it's like, dude, think about in the era of the slasher film, right? Like, yeah, it just became about like, how do we kill these fuckers in more inventive ways, And it's like, listen, we saw kind of, I think David Gordon, I think those guys in these last two Halloween films, whatever your feelings are about those, they went hard in the paint, dude, with fucking, let's cut the guy's tongue off. Let's let the guy's tongue get on an LP and spin around. I mean, it was like, they just went, bro. They went like old school, like, gut them and, drive your thumbs through their eyes and all, it's like that stuff that I think dude, for years, people, that was cathartic, man. Like,
yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Yeah, fuck this guy up. Like, put a spear through this guy's head and fuck, it's like, that was real catharsis. And some of those I look at them now and go, Jesus Christ, man, that was heavy duty. Like watching like The Prowler, dude, like, God damn. Like,
yeah, brutal, dude.
Brutal, brother. Like, Like, so what is it about that? Why is it again, dude, that kind of, listen, Jason Blum built the whole, by the way, Jason Blum was not a horror producer per se.
No.
But filled the space because he saw this tremendous need for that kind of stuff that was really modestly priced, cheap, that would work. And it's like, if you look at the first kind of Paranormal Activity, there's moments it's kind of goofy. You know what I mean? It's like, but it works. It works, man. It's like, and it serviced that, again, do the ultimate kind of the Jaws thing, what you can't see, what's out there that you're not aware of, the Blair Witch stuff. What's that sound? And the creation of that, dude. Again, brother, the ultimate kind of let's enjoin the audience in this experience. You're part of it, man, because what your mind is gonna create in that moment is gonna be 1,000 times more terrifying than something we could show.
Exactly. Something that I could afford to shoot.
Exactly. It's like, I can only think of like one real, like what Von Trier did with Melancholia, because you heard that kind of low rumbling for 40 minutes of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Toward the end, there's just that low end bassy sound, and then he cuts that fucking shot to that planet, and I went, holy shit! That one shot was all you needed. Right. Yeah. It was like, oh man, did he ever kind of earn the monster moment right there? Because there it was. But dude, rarely does that pay dividends that when you show it, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, the subconscious is always fueling
so much better. So much better. I mean, it's the same thing when people go see a movie that they had read a book for initially, and they're like, "Yeah, the movie wasn't as good as the fucking book." It's go, of course not. Your imagination has no budget range. Your imagination can fill the gaps, and your imagination also knows exactly who you are and what your history is, and so it ties all your emotional context to everything that you're reading. I can't fucking do that as a filmmaker. I can try to do that.
You're absolutely true. Hey, brother, can we pause this for a moment? Continue going. Is that all right?
It's perfect. It's fine. I got to take a leak anyways. We're back. Took a break. So, Joe, you and I have talked offline that, I've been, 12 Cam has gone over to Scott Free, and I've been over there, and I've had like Ridley saw the movie, which is amazing to me, the dude that did fucking Alien. Right. But when I was in that offices, I couldn't help but like wish that Tony Scott is such a fucking influence. Like this last short I was just shooting, I was literally putting on Days of Thunder just to watch those scenes between Tom Cruise and Duvall in the fucking garage.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
So like you had a close connect with Tony. How'd you meet him? Did you meet him? Was it the BMW film stuff that you guys were doing?
I met him on the BMW films, and then Jules Daly, who produced all those, who is one of my dear friends. We all, she gave me an office at RSA for 12 years. I had an office there.
Wow.
Gave me a start doing commercials, gave me a lot of stuff, and ultimately kind of produced The Gray. And Tony was always just someone who I would always kind of seek out his counsel and his advice, and someone I had the greatest admiration for, because Tony kind of Tony loved to work, and he kind of refused to be defined in any one kind of way.
Yeah.
And that's why you see kind of all the gauzy kind of 80s kind of beauty stuff that is Top Gun. And then you go to like, True Romance, this kind of grimy,
oh my God,
that Tony loved that. And then of course, Man on Fire, which I think is his like absolutely unheralded masterpiece, unheralded by the critical community, heralded by everybody that actually makes movies and knows what the fuck they're doing.
100%, 100 fucking percent.
Dude, you can, and it just shows how much I believed in Tony. I thought that Dakota Fanning's character was dead. The first time I watched that movie, I thought she was dead. That's how good Tony was. That's how much, and again, that's how there was always a verisimilitude and this sense of this great sense of reality, and kind of even in this kind of Hollywood form, Tony was still able to kind of inject these movies with his humanity. And I'll tell you a fucking great story, Mike, that you will repeat. That when the moment you hear it, you'll repeat it now for the rest of your life.
Okay.
Paul Cameron, who's a good buddy of mine, I shot a bunch of commercials with Paul, and he shot Man on Fire. And that moment where Denzel gets shot, and it's like, you think he's going to die, and they shoot him down the street where they take Dakota Fanning. At the time, Tony had an old, the old wind up from like 1919, 1920, this old Bolex that you'd have to, and what you do, dude, is you would punch the mag as you were cranking it, as you were shooting. And he used it in a bunch of Marlboro commercials, but dude, it would shift the film inside the gate as it processed. The pin register would grab it and kind of shake it up. So none of that shit. Oh, wow. You'll appreciate this. That was all in camera. Those things they were doing, right?
Yes.
Kind of the weird stutter effect and that kind of weird phasing thing that would. So that was all in camera, and but it required you to literally crank and punch, right?
Wow.
So Paul had told him, Tony, please, we're shooting like 8 cameras. Like when Denzel was rehearsing it, people were like, it was so emotional, right?
Yeah.
And so they start shooting it, and he's getting shot, and Paul's like, dude, it's like watching an elephant die. Like there's teamsters that are like emotional or whatever. And Paul's sitting there on a camera, dude, and above his head, all he hears is like, and this like racket. Regular. He looks up. There's Tony bawling his eyes out, punching the shit out of this camera and cranking it at the same time. That is as tone a story as a Tony story gets. Like that's what he was, dude. He was just this kind of indelibly lovely humanist, just from another era, brother. It was just Tony was existed in another era, where he would be like, you went to Paramount, dude. There was like, trays of cocaine and, threesomes were like, you did that every other day. It was like, it's just like, So dude, again, my hero, for a lot of reasons, not just, but, I thought, dude, that he was, dude, even in his 60s, and this is why it was such a bummer when we lost him.
Yeah.
The way even at his age then, I think he was 67 when he died. He was still pushing it, man. He was still finding these different avenues and these different ways visually.
Yeah.
To tell stories. And that's why, the whole Tarantino thing about, your best work is always behind you, when you're young. I completely disagree. I think Tony is a testament to that. I think he was doing his best shit later in life.
Yeah.
And that again, just from a fan standpoint, is why it's so doubly kind of a letdown that we won't get those movies. We won't get those kind of Tony and Cop Shop. Well, my version of Cop Shop, which I have, is very much a Tony Scott film.
Oh, why? Why is it? Why? What did you do differently in your version?
Oh, that's a long story, bro. There's a director's version of that movie that's my version.
Yeah,
that is about 15 minutes longer, and it's just exponentially better. Before I could have gotten sued for saying this stuff. Now I don't give a fuck. I'm going to show that. I have that mic completely, fully mixed. I have a DCP of that movie that I can screen anywhere, anytime, and I will. Dude. And I will. And some shit's going to come out that's not going to be flattering to certain people. I give a fuck at this point. Because
I want to be
but
there.
It's very much that movie was very much, even in that, I never saw the theatrical release. I never saw that version.
Really?
No, had no interest in seeing it because it wasn't my movie, dude. It was.
So I had no idea. So then,
yeah, Bubba. Yeah, it was based on a movie now enough time has passed. I give a shit. Like, what are you gonna come after me with your whatever?
Yeah,
come after me.
Yeah.
But no, brother. That was and it still got good scores. But no, dude, I never saw it. Had no interest in seeing it. I have a version of that movie that's just fucking lights out. But it's very much a Tony. It's very much my version of a Tony Scott film.
Okay. All right. So this is interesting because I didn't know that. And I watched Cop Shop and I felt like I was given, because I thought it was your movie and I felt like I was giving you a pass. So there's a bunch of stuff in that movie where I went, oh, he's almost there. This is almost right. This is almost right.
This is what happens when a movie is taken from you and stripped of its essential elements and you're doing the bidding of one person. And I'm not going to name this motherfucker right now, but he's a bum.
Yeah. And
he knows who he is. And this is what happens is that you wound up getting in this scenario where you're not you were the captain of a ship that was superior in quality and dimension and construction. and you wind up with the fucking SS Minnow.
Jesus Christ, dude.
We had the fucking we had the. No, I was gonna say I can't say like the Lusitania, the Titanic. They both sunk. What's the pocket battleship that took the fucking beating and still floated? What's that goddamn the famous fucking?
Dude, I'm not gonna be able to pull that out of my ass.
Fucking what was it, bro? The Bismarck.
Okay.
Bismarck.
Okay. Yeah.
No, it was. It's like I was sucked up into this thing, and I did certain things. At some point, I just kind of washed my hands of it because there's nothing I could do. But I have a fully theatrical version, fully mixed, fully color timed, everything of that movie, and I will screen it, and I will take whatever smoke comes my way because that is the director's version. That is the intended version of that movie. And I don't mind talking about it now, dude. Enough time has passed. That shit is history, and I can't be accused of diminishing its revenue streams because of what I'm saying. If anything, I'd release my version now.
Yeah.
Because it's way cooler and way more interesting and a complete film, brother. It's like it's exactly every fucking frame that I wanted.
I want to see it, man.
Brother, you and I'll put together screening, dude. We'll host it.
All right.
And figure out.
All right.
We'll do it in Glendale, away from prying eyes. Away from the prying eyes of Hollywood. Dude. It was again, and I didn't mean to go down this little fucking tributary, but
it's fascinating. It's fascinating.
You mentioned Tony Scott, and that was very much my ode to Tony, and I thought it got mangled at the point of distribution, and whatever. I couldn't. But here's the thing, dude. As I say earlier, this is me being a fucking hypocrite. Not everybody needs to know what the fuck is on your mind. And what do, dude? Shoot my mouth off like an asshole at the end of this podcast and potentially open myself up to future litigation.
Well,
it wouldn't be me without this, bro. I couldn't go to the holidays without shit in bed in some way. So
well, dude, you just let me know. I'll cut it out if you need me to.
No, I'm kidding, bro. No, I don't mind. Honestly, brother, I don't mind because I feel like to not acknowledge it is the worst form of being a kind of a chicken shit about it. It's like, and I don't have enough respect for the people on that side of the fucking aisle to hold my tongue or to bite my tongue any longer. It's like, it is there. I'm going to screen it and we'll let the chips fall where they may. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like, you going to sue me? Okay, fine. You're just going to draw a larger, a more of a spotlight to this scenario, which I've kept my mouth shut about, and I'm not going to anymore because I don't need to. It's been over a year. It's whatever the chickens have come home to roost, whatever that thing was going to do. And it's kind of, and it's, and it's kind of palsied form. It did. And now let's talk about the fucking, the real version,
Well, dude, let me just say, I appreciate you actually being honest about this because that's what this show is. I've always said that our show is like, this is the non-Instagram filter version of what it's like to be working in this business. And I don't think a lot of people understand. I mean, dude, you're a fucking legend director at this point. You've been working since I was in fucking film school, and the fact that you're still dealing with that, the fact that you had a movie yanked from you and you are being put through this stuff, it's a cautionary tale for so.
Oh, absolutely. And by the same token, dude, I also have to own up, Mike, to why I did that movie in the first place. It's like, I'm not a fan of that actor at all. Like, I did it for the dough. So I did it because I wanted to make a movie during the pandemic, and I fell in love with Alexis Louder and thought that woman was a fucking leading, actor. And I thought working with her was a fucking joy. And I got to work with Frank, and I got to work with Ryan Onan. I got to work with people, JP Cantillo. Like, I got to work with a lot of people I just adore. Chris Holly, who's been in fucking everything I've done. So, dude, I have to take my own responsibility. It's not just like, oh, pity me, poor boy. Hey man, I waded into that fucking cesspool and then was fucking shocked when I wound up fucking sucking down, pollution. It's like, what did you think, dude? Yeah. What did you think? And what did you think these people that you went into that scenario with were going to somehow, not be fucking reptilian? Of course they're going to be. That's nobody's fault but mine.
Right.
So, and listen, for whatever their reasons, I also understood their reasons. They wanted a shorter version. They wanted this, they wanted that. Okay. I can look at it objectively and go, yeah, I get it. I'm still saying fuck you because there's a superior version of the movie. It's fucking superior, And it's like, for a lot of reasons, not the least of which it tested higher than their version. There's another little tidbit that, like, I'm sure I get sued, but it's like, it did. And so, I still, and I'm not naming names, and you haven't heard me say a single goddamn name except for the people.
I have no idea. I have no idea. Yeah.
So yeah, dude. And even the fact, Mike, that you're looking at that going, shit, man, I'm going to give Carnahan a pass. That pisses me off, because that means that, I have to sit there and fucking take it. And you know what? When it was in its whatever, its moment, it's where it was kind of the most, it could be the most lucrative or whatever the hell. I kept my mouth shut. Now we're past that. So now I have to stick up for myself and understand there is a version. And and I'm sure they're gonna be. We want that back. When you pry it from my fucking cold dead hands, you can have that DCP. Like, you're out of your mind. Like, I'm gonna copy it just to make sure I get another one. It's like,
yeah.
So again, dude, it's like this. It's this. Brother. It is what it is. Like I said, I'm glad I can share it with you, because you have an appreciation for it. And again, dude, it does piss me off that you felt, I like this guy as a filmmaker. Let me cut him some slack. That sucks. You don't ever want to feel that way. I don't want somebody going, I never want the sympathy vote, brother. Nobody wants the sympathy vote.
Well, I mean, I wasn't giving you a sympathy. Let's not go all the way down that. Let's not go all the way down that hole. I mean, I liked the flick. There's a lot of stuff I like in that flick. I love your flicks. And so, and to give you the credit that is deserved here, you have a fucking voice. You have a fucking voice. And in a time period where it feels like, I mean, you've done commercial work. I've done commercial work for these giant fucking companies. All they give a fuck about is whether or not their logo is shining the brightest. That's it. That's all they care about. So they'll use as many of us as they possibly can to make sure that their logo, like the fucking knocking at the table sound, is louder than the rest of them. And that's what that's what they're doing.
And you're right. And it's kind of that, you have to know that going in, that, and that's why, again, I never wanted to be in that scenario again because I thought, well, the reason you make this independently like this is so you can shut all that bullshit down. It's like, listen, dude, Boss Level was a motherfucker to make.
Really?
And dude, and I did, like, brother, they cut me from 42 days to 27 days. I shot that movie in 27 days.
Jesus.
15 days out of my schedule. And I'm still getting sued by the fucking, somehow the Bond company, which never took over the movie, never took it over, got absorbed by this giant conglomerate. And they're like, you better do something about this. So you're going to sue the guys where you could have taken the picture over and you never did. Right? It's just crazy, the shit that's going on. And it's going to get thrown out because it's completely frivolous and ridiculous. Because, guys, I don't know how you think we stole money when you took 15 days out of my schedule. Where did we suddenly, where was there a run on us being irresponsible other than doing a fucking lights out movie in half the time?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I can say this, dude, for all the fucking vipers and fucking, snakes and shitty human beings I had to deal with on that film, that movie, dude, to the frame is exactly my movie.
It's a great movie.
It's exactly what I want to make.
It's a great movie. And I love all of the new fans that you've got from that fucking movie, dude.
Oh, dude, because I think it's one of those, again, I'm not a sci-fi guy, but I love that story. And I could totally get behind this notion of a guy who had fucked up with his kid and saw the means when all was lost. Well, I'm just going to rebuild this with my son. I thought that was fucking, I could totally sink my teeth into that, dude.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Shadow Force. It's like, it's really about an estranged family. It's really about the sacrifices you make for a kid that and the toll that it takes on you. And the other stuff is window dressing. The action stuff and all that other stuff is always going to be secondary to the heart and soul of that. And when you have two people in Omar Sy and Kerry Washington who are just the loveliest fucking human beings alive, that can relay that emotional journey, you're playing with the biggest. You're so blessed that you can be a part of that with that level of talent. But they also had the firm understanding. Yeah, this is what this movie is about. Right?
Yeah.
So I have the same sense with this one that it's not going to be ripped away from me and then made into some, inferior version of some chopped up fucking, variation on what you did and what you kind of bled into. And because again, like you said, dude, it takes a lot of work to make a shitty film. It takes a lot of work to make any kind of like, you got to get up every day and go after it with the same, with the same purpose of will and the same fucking sense of ferocity. Or, I don't know how to do it any other way. I'm not smart enough to do it any other way.
I know it's tough. I mean, it beats the fuck out of you, and you got to go to war every time if you feel that way. And as soon as like an opportunity presents itself, you're just like, fuck it, let's go. Like it has to be that, man. And so Shadow Force, so the audience knows, that's your new one. That's the one that you just shot, right?
Yeah, the one where I got a really, I think, pretty rocking. I'll show it to you, brother. I got a really great director's cut. That I'm still inside my my DGA thing. But dude, and also again, you have Carrie as a producer, Pilar Savone, Stephen Love. These are really wonderful, supportive, talented people that you've got back in your play.
Yeah,
and that's not always the case, dude. It certainly wasn't the case on Cop Shop. I didn't have any of that. It was at some point it was like us against the forces of nature. So it was, and that's a lonely fucking place to be, dude. When again, everybody's kissing one guy's ass and doesn't want to be honest about where we really are. And so and again, dude, listen, there's no harm done, no love lost. I have my version of it, but I would never assume or ever think that I would ever wind up in something like that again, given the people that are surrounding me now who are really, for and by what we're doing.
I think a lot of people just don't respect that as far as the audience is concerned. As a director, you really need to have a producing team. You really need to have the support system behind you to have your fucking back, because it's insane. Like,
beyond, because if you don't have that, you have the opposite of that, which is, you just got a bunch of fucking people, like I said, like, what about this? What if we did that? By the way, no one ever wants to take, creative authorship for those things.
Yeah.
They want to suggest it and then fade as fast into the fucking woodwork as they can. Because, the last thing they want is for someone to put the thumb on them and go, wait, didn't you suggest? No, that wasn't me.
Yeah.
That wasn't me. No one wants to take credit, but everybody's got fucking ideas, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's got a way to save it, or a notion that, what if we just did this, but they lack the actual, and it's all to tell them, but it's like, listen, there's so much shit I'm terrible at, dude. There's a raft of shit that I'm terrible at, but I've been doing this 30 fucking years. I'm pretty goddamn good in this space. Leave me the fuck alone. Leave me alone.
It's so crazy.
That's not to say, dude, I listen to every goddamn idea that anybody's got. I'm always there for that, man. And I'm always the first to go, that's fucking fantastic. Let's try it. Yeah. Right? I don't have that proprietary bullshit where it's like everything has to come from me, because I don't give a fuck, man. I don't. Yeah. It's like, it's going to say directed by Joe Carnahan. Well, who gives a shit if the fucking, by the way, I know fucking brilliant key grips that have better ideas than most executives. Who cares if this guy said, what do we try? That's great, dude. Let's do it.
Yeah. Dude, we got to wrap this up, but I learned that I was lucky enough to be on the Farley Brothers sets for a couple of their movies, and went on there as a guest, and I learned that from those guys.
That's great, dude.
That's great. Those dudes would turn to their boom op and be like, what do you think? And I was like, that's a fucking family, dude. It's a family of open-minded creatives, and that's part of, I think a lot of people think that directors are, I hate the term genius. It's not like you drop out of your mom and suddenly you know what lens you're going to fucking shoot with.
Yeah, exactly.
But you forget that it's not a dictatorship. I mean, to a certain extent, you have to have a head of a ship, but you're also collaborating, man. There's a lot of times where I'm in this space and I'm looking around going, guys, I don't know how to fucking deal with this. Like, what do you suggest? Like, what is the thing that we should do here? And movies, my shit's been made better because of the people. I get too much credit for the work that my crew's done on my stuff.
Right. So, I think that's great, brother. As it should be, dude. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, as it should be. I think that's the most important thing. It's just credit where credit's due, because it's all about listen, at the end of the day, dude, you just want to make the best possible film. Whatever the result, whatever the ingredients were, whatever the opinions were that went into that, when you bake it up, there it is. It's it works. It's tasty. It's appealing, and everybody enjoys themselves. And that's it, dude. Beyond that, it's like, I just don't get into this whole, like, I hear these, oh no, he didn't take any ideas. He won't listen to anybody. It's got to be this way. It's got to be, okay, well, good luck with that, man. It doesn't foster the best, It does not foster the best films, and it certainly doesn't create this kind of trust and this idea that we're all kind of in this together. It begins to separate. It's the caste system. Now I'm here, you're there. And I just think,
dude, even at the end of the day, right? You're successful. You make a great movie. You stand up there and you have fucking 5 minutes where everybody's like looking up from their phones and they go, "Oh, that was pretty good." And your arms are crossed and then you're by your fucking self. You're all alone up there if you're a dictator.
Exactly, brother. Exactly. Anyway, bro, I don't want to take up the rest of your afternoon.
Dude, this is the shit. I appreciate everything, Joe. I'm so happy to have met you, man.
No, it was a pleasure, man.
This is a wonderful podcast. Thank you so much for being on it, dude.
You got it, man. My pleasure, brother.
Wow. Wow. So cool, man. So cool. It's like every once in a while, look, the fear is I'm always afraid of meeting people in Hollywood, right? I'm always afraid of meeting people that I respect in Hollywood, people that act in movies that I really love, like actors, or maybe it's like rock stars. I always like cringe when I'm going to meet a rock star for the first time. And I cringe when I'm going to meet directors because you just hope. You hope that they're good people. You hope that they're cool. You hope that they're great, man. And I'm not going to lie. It's fucking awesome that Joe's seen 12 Cam and that he loves it. You know, this is like a fucking movie I shot in 2016, man. You know, it's been that long. And to get this feedback and to get this audience attention, it fucking feels good, man. It's nice. I'm not going to lie about it. But I also know that it's not good. This is just the step, man. It feels good. I take the compliments and we're gonna move on. We're going on to the next thing. And it's just nice to hear that Joe does the same thing. He's always talking about like going into the ring and the next fight and making his way up. Always. I like it. I like the way he works, man. And I admire him as a director and I admire his work. And I just cannot thank him enough for coming on the show and sharing as much as he has with us. I hope you guys loved it. I sure as fuck did. How are you? Like, you guys ready? Because this is coming out right before Christmas, right? I think this is going to drop next week, right? I'm recording this on the 17th. So my voice is a little rocky today. But how you guys doing? You guys ready? You guys doing a big Christmas thing? You got family coming over? You going over to family's places? You flying home? We're not flying home this year. So fucking expensive, man. Are you flying home? Where you going? What's going on? We got friends coming over. We got our own little LA family coming over. We got our tree set up finally. I think I'm gonna cook. I think I'm gonna do a crown pork roast again. I fucking love that. You know, it's like, have you guys ever had a crown pork roast? It's like pork chops essentially, right? It's bone-on pork chops, but it's split in a very specific way so you can unroll them. So it's like a whole rib, and you can unroll it to form a crown. And it cooks in a very specific way. Usually you stuff the center with some sort of stuffing or something. I don't know. I think I'm going to do like a risotto instead of stuffing. But stuff the center, right? And it has a very specific flavor and taste because of the way it's cooked. And it's not the type of thing if you only have 2 people over, or even 3 people, it's not enough. Because in order to make the crown, you need to have at least 4 ribs, 5 ribs, right? With meat on it. So I love it. I take full advantage of the fact that I got people coming over so I can make food that Gina and it would be too much for just Gina and I to have. So I'm getting ready for that. I'm excited. I don't know if we're going to do the 7 fishes on Christmas Eve. I've done it before. It's just a lot. It's a lot. You end up going through the process of trying to eat all 7 fishes and then you're trying to cram them in, you know? How about I make this like chowder that's got like, shrimp and this in it, whitefish and we'll do a stew. It's tough. Do you guys even know what the 7 fishes are? There's a couple of Italians listen to the show. It's an old thing. Night of the 7 fishes. The idea is that you have, you serve 7 different types of fish in different courses, right? So you might do like a shrimp cocktail. I've done like a smoked fish, like a herring, or like a spread over toasted bread, And then sometimes I'll do like a linguine with clams, or I'll do like a linguine fra diavolo, you know, and it's just like dish after dish after dish after dish. It's crazy. Last time I did it, I think we were ready to explode. It was fun. It's fun. It's the holidays. You're supposed to do that kind of thing, right? I'm excited. Christmas Eve. And then I think the day before Christmas Eve or the day before that is when we do our little pub crawl, like our LA pub crawl right before people fly home. Most of LA clears out, which is cool because everybody's going home for the holidays. So the bars are empty. You get to have the run of the place, which is fun. So we usually go out and do like a bar crawl, which I think we'll do. Yeah, man. Let's see what else is going on. I went to the fucking Viper Room. Went to the Viper Room for the first time ever. Now, the Viper Room, for those of you who don't know, it is a famous bar that was owned by Johnny Depp, and it's infamous for like, what is it, the early 2000s, the late 90s, early 2000s, for being a specific celebrity getaway, like a hideaway for celebs. They get out of the limelight, they can do whatever they want. And it's known for having amazing sound, amazing bands would go in there, and it was hard to get it. There's no way you can get in. You'd have to know somebody to get in. Like so many of the venues on what is that, Sunset? Like so many of the venues on that strip, like that, Whiskey a Go-Go, Rainbow Room, all those spots, they're kind of falling from grace, right? With the death of the hair metal bands, and they really didn't sort of pick themselves back up. It's depressing when I get on that strip. I go into these spots, I go, man, what was it like in here when like the Doors was the fucking, the house band? They'd play every fucking weekend there. What was it like when Slash was on stage all the time? And Lemmy was sitting at the end of the bar, Cool stuff. I go in there and it's like a ghost town, right? You just go in there, you see the ghosts of all these folks. Same thing when we went to the Viper Room. It was super cool to be in there. They're about to tear it down. I think they're going to tear it down and put up a hotel. I think that's in February. So, got to go see a friend of mine. His band was on, and we got to hang out there. It was pretty rad. Side story is we went in there. It was late, drank a bunch of beers, took off. I forgot my fucking credit card, right? So a couple days later, I have to go back because I need it. It's my credit card with 0% APR on it right now. I need that one. So I go back to the Viper Room, and there's a woman working. It was like a Friday that I went back, or Saturday, so it was packed. They're tearing this place down. It's still fucking packed, So I go, and there's this older lady at the door. Real salt of the earth. I love her. Go up to the door, and I go, hey, I'm not trying to sneak in or anything. I left my fucking credit card here the other day. And she goes, so you're a fuck up. And I go, yeah, I get it. I know. I'm a real piece of shit. I just need to go in and get my credit card. She goes, no, you're not a piece of shit. You're a fuck up. I go, yeah, I guess so. I guess you're right. I guess I'm a fuck up. She goes, all right, follow me in here. And so she's an old lady. She pulls me in and she goes, it's up now. I'll walk you upstairs. I'll just walk you right past the line. So she walks me past the line, walks me upstairs, and goes into like this super packed place. There's a band on stage playing some like outdated rock, and go up to the bartender, make my way up. Bartender's there, and I'm like, I've left my fucking credit card here. Can I get my credit card? And she goes, when did you leave it? I go, a couple days ago. It's my phone. Sorry, guys. She goes, a couple days ago. I said, a couple days ago. She goes, you mean a couple days ago or a couple months ago? Like, which one is it? I go, I love you guys. You guys are great. So she pulls me in the back room. So I got to go into the back room of the Viper Room. And I had to sort through this pile of credit cards, this huge stack of credit cards to find mine. But it was so cool to see the back room and to see all the stuff back there. It was fun. Really fun experience. If you guys are in Los Angeles before February, go over and see a show at the Viper Room and just have that experience. Be one of the few left that have been in that space. Epic. I mean, that's where fucking Joaquin Phoenix's River Phoenix died. His brother. Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix's brother died out in front of that place. Horrible. It's definitely a true institution of Hollywood. Really rad place, especially if you're into rock and roll and music. So definitely go check out the Viper Room before they tear that fucking thing down and put up some bullshit hotel. All right. I'll stop rambling. You guys have listened long enough. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. Continue to follow me on Instagram at Mike Pecci. Continue to follow the podcast Instagram at Love of the Process POD. I'll be running contests. I'll be doing giveaways. You guys can hear about my new films. You can see me posting bad reviews, good reviews, and talking about 12GAM and all that kind of stuff. All there. All right? That's it. I don't know if there'll be another episode before the holidays, so just in case there isn't one, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever the fuck it is, whatever reason that you need to get together with your friends and family, eat a lot of food. If you drink a lot of really great stuff, whatever you're doing, have fun, enjoy it. And remember, it's these little fucking moments that when we're at the end of our time that we go back and we remember. So make sure you take full advantage of them and enjoy everything that comes at you. All right? Happy holidays, everybody. Talk to you next Tuesday.